the back corner when I'm not presenting.
Listening in.
And listen in.
Hey everybody, welcome to Bass University Live here on Tuesday night.
Take a quick break, watch John Cruz's on the Tokyo rig.
Be a part of the show, get some chances to win some awesome prizes.
Just Bass you go. You know, we didn't have that back then, and dude, it can just...
That text thread gives me so much energy. I mean, like I'm dialed.
Welcome to Bass University Live, everybody. It's here. This is it. This is our year-end show. We've had an amazing 2020 working with the best anglers in the world, and it's come down to this, the top 10 most viewed seminars on BassU.TV this year, and the top 10 instruction of the year. It's amazing. It's a great host of winners. Want to thank all the guys for producing such amazing instructional content. And it's great to go back and review that stuff for me to be able to, get the best of the best all together and go through that instructions. Really, really cool stuff. I know you're going to appreciate it tonight, and it's going to give you a great list for you to attack in 2021 of some techniques and strategies that are really going to help you be a better angler. So tonight, we're going to go down the list. Can you guess which is number one? Which is your favorite seminar at BassU TV? Let us know. You want to hang out with us tonight? Come on, we're going to be zooming some guys in to ask questions to our panel, as well as our special guest who is going to be with us tonight. It's top secret. He's our number one most viewed seminar of the year. He's going to be with us later on in the show, and we're looking forward to talking to him. He's a good friend of Bass University. You guys are all going to know him and love him, and that's all coming up. So that's what's happening tonight, guys. It's going to be a great show. So hang in there with us. Get your questions in. All you Bass U guys, we're going to hook you up with some cool prizes. And we've got a lot of prizes to give away tonight. And we've got a great panel as usual. I see GDP in the studio holding down the fort. It's good to have you in the house tonight.
Yeah, what's going on, Petey?
Well, I hope you had a very Merry Christmas, my friend.
I did. I had a pretty good Christmas, to say the least. Hope the same for you and all the viewers.
Man, I had a great Christmas hanging out with the fam, and I hope all our viewers did too. I know it's a crazy time out there, so I just want to wish everybody happy holidays, Merry Christmas. And, of course, we got back in the back, we got the Riz and BTC pushing the buttons. You guys doing all right?
Hell, we're doing great, man. We're excited. I actually just got really excited right as we were playing the intro. Me and Rich, we always do a shot before the show. Pete, you're not here to judge us, so we do it. And we probably do a couple more than that. But, it's just like, man, goodbye 2020. Tonight's great. We're going to celebrate all the awesome things that Bass U did, but goodbye to all the rest of it. So
yeah,
excited for
no
the good and the bad.
Yep. Yeah, we've all got a few things we're looking forward to letting go of in 2020. And 21 is right around the corner, so I didn't see any shots getting taken, so
it didn't happen.
It didn't happen.
Yeah,
I want to give a shout out to a couple people. I was hanging out with Ed Cowan over on Facebook early on a live, talking some old school fishing, and Shannon Wheeler popped up on my TikTok feed.
Hey, yo, Shannon. Hey, how you doing, huh? Shannon. Hey. Yeah.
He's doing his thing over there, smoking some stuff, getting ready for the holidays. But
what kind of stuff is Shannon smoking?
He was using his meat smoker. Not that
okay.
smoking.
What are we saying about him right now?
I don't know what we're saying. So we're going to keep moving on. But
Onward.
we got so many great prizes. We got a grand prize, man. We got all kinds of stuff. Riz, take us through it. What can the guys look forward to winning tonight?
Yeah, so the grand prize tonight, Pete, is a TH Marine pack. It's valued at $125, and then we have a Facebook like and share also going on. If you're over on Facebook and you insist on not heading over to Bash UTV, we're gonna hook you up as well. It's a Rapala, Rod Warrior, and Tackle Warehouse package. Now, anybody that gets a question through to the show tonight as well, we're also going to be hooking you up with some prizes. And then towards the end of the show, when we do a few trivia questions, we got two $25 Gills Gear gift cards headed out. So guys, it's a great time to take advantage of some awesome deals we have going on over at Bash UTV. Use the code BULive30. You get unlimited access to over 800 of the best bass fishing instructional videos on the web, and that's how you're going to get a chance to get your questions into the show and win that grand prize. So take advantage of it now. Use the code BULive30 and come on over here and join the family. Let's start catching more big bass.
Yeah. Way to go, Rich. And I just want to add something to that. Using that app, like, I cannot believe how easy that app. You know, I used to use the Bass U website, but damn, the app is easy. Like to actually, you know, watch a seminar on your phone while you're working or listening to it while you're working, text messages, phone calls, other things pop up, emails. It's still right there. You're not losing your place. It's just, man, it got really easy. So that's pretty dope. And I think that TH package is worth $150.
Okay.
I think it's worth $150.
It's a lot there. It's guys. It's G juice. It's a trolling jacket. It's a G-force handle. I think there's a prop nut in there too. There's a lens cleaning kit. It's a lot. So
yeah, a whole box of Greg
pays
DePalma's
off.
secret chatterbaits. We're gonna throw that in there. Something for everyone.
Maybe not.
You never know.
Maybe.
Hey, that app is new to 2020. That's something big to celebrate. That's
Dang
new
right
for
it
Bass UTV. A lot of you guys that have just joined Bass University might not have seen the app and might want to go download it. It's free with your subscription, and you can check out all the great content, just like Brian was
The app's
saying.
fantastic. Oh, and you know what else we don't celebrate enough is the discounts you get when you're a Bass U subscriber. You know, VIP Rapala discount, 40%. That alone, don't say no. That alone pays for the damn year subscription. One order.
Yes. Well, that's true. And Flambeau, a lot of you guys are hunting right now. Flambeau makes not only great fit tackle products, but they make great hunting products as well. And we've got some amazing offers there, as well as all of our other sponsors. And we have an amazing tackle warehouse program. I'm announcing we're going to be making an announcement. But coming in 2021, we have something really cool from our partners at Tackle Warehouse for all of our subscribers. So look for that. And speaking of which, I see one hanging out on Facebook. Stephen Walden is watching us over on Facebook. He's one of our boys. A lot of you guys might have met him down at the Classic or one of the Bass University events. He knows our product as good as anybody, and is a great angler. And good to see you, Stephen, hanging out.
Yep.
And we've got an amazing show, guys. If you're just tuning in, I see a lot of people over on Facebook and wherever you're watching us over on YouTube. We've got a great show. It's the top 10 show for the year, the top 10 instructional seminars for Bass University TV with some really amazing instructors. And we are going to have the #1 instructor on live tonight. And you can zoom in. Rich, explain how people can zoom in if they want to ask a question. How do they do that?
That's right, Pete. So we shared the Zoom ID link, the Zoom ID number on the chat board, as well as the password. And so all you have to do is go to Zoom.com. Just type it in your Google bar. Click join a meeting. It'll ask you to type in that Zoom ID, and then it'll ask you for the password, and we'll see you in the queue, and we'll have you on the show, guys. So to take advantage of that, the code is in the chat. I'll share it in there again, but we want to have one of you guys on.
Awesome. Well, what do you guys want to learn in 2021? We've got 10 of the best coming up. We're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be right back with Bass University 2020 Top 10. Why do you love catching fishing rods?
I'm truly losing less fish.
Is the sensitivity of the rod.
That they're made right here in North Carolina in the USA.
Strongest, lightest rod, 100% made here in Sanford, North Carolina.
From the drop shot rod to the flipping stick. Every rod has a purpose to it, and I rely on them all the time when I'm out doing a tournament.
Durability in the John Cruz Worman series, the counterbalancing in the handle.
It's the only rod I found that can withstand my hook set. Boom goes the dynamite.
We're different. Some would say obsessed. There's no place on earth we'd rather be than right here, right now. Performance-driven gear, so you can fish longer, harder. Gill's Performance Fishing.
One thing that's happened that's probably advanced our electronics more so this year than anything that has in a while, the Clear Power wiring harness. These units are designed to do a certain thing. If you're not getting enough power, enough wattage, enough voltage, they're not going to perform the way they're supposed to perform. Clear Power wiring harness fixes that problem. One of the great things about the Clear Power harness is it doesn't matter what brand of unit you have, it doesn't matter what kind of boat you got. The thing that you want from the Clear harness is power. Clear Power puts enough voltage to your units to make them maintain the performance that they're supposed to maintain. So if you're not seeing everything like you think you should see it, Clear Power will show it to you.
Welcome back to Bass University Live, guys. What a cool show. It's going to be a lot of fun talking about our top 10 of the year, and we got the whole crew in the house. Any of you guys get a chance to get out and do any fishing over the holiday?
Fishing? I know them two did. Why you guys so quiet?
I did not, actually.
Get the hell out of here.
I took my first break in, like, literally years.
Wow.
I sat down and I said, you know what? I'm not going to fish for a whole freaking week.
I know this dirt did.
I did. I actually got back out and fished a little bit over the holiday, but for me, it was the first time in quite a while. You know what I mean? When I sold my boat, I had
talking hours or days?
Days, dude, weeks. I sold. No, I'm serious. Sold the boat, and I was focusing on some other stuff there for a little bit. But I did. I got out twice and caught some fish both times. So it was good to get back out there. Got some target species. That's the largemouth bass. So it was it was a good time.
It must have been 30-degree water temperature.
Yeah, well, on Christmas Eve, Pete, it was actually it was pretty cool. We were at a little lake down in South Jersey, and on Christmas Eve it was warm, and the wind was really crushing like all day. And we got in one area that was kind of a current-related area with the wind blowing on it all day, and the fish were stacked up there and had some fun. Caught some on a chatterbait, caught some on a rattle trap. So it was it was some fun wintertime fishing for sure.
Where was that at?
Mananico.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I've been there.
What? Mananico still has fish in it?
What's that?
Mananico still has fish in it?
Yeah, it's got a few. It's got a few for sure, and some of the right ones.
How many did you see?
How many fish did we see?
Yeah.
None.
Really?
Just the ones we caught. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Huh.
That's amazing. That is the very first place I fished a tournament in my life. At Mananico Ponds.
Might have been for me too.
Huh. It used to have tournaments there all the time.
Yeah, I fished one with Ike, and that might have been our first tournament.
No kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
We had a blast. Well, of course, I won that tournament, and I'm telling you that just to brag. And it was such a shock. I didn't know what tournament fishing was.
Did anyone
else
show up, or was it just you?
Woody was there. I remember that. I still have him in the old pictures.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
And, it was actually well attended because there wasn't a lot of tournaments at the time, so it had a pretty big draw. And I didn't even know how to call. We didn't know any of that stuff.
Yeah.
But we got on some fish back in the creek and did good. That's actually where our state record was caught.
Yeah.
And of course that buried me after that. Once I had that experience, of course, then I turned into Riz, and every minute, every dollar,
You left
every
your
second,
career as an engineer behind, and
immediately
screw the degree and all that.
Yep. Right on to the fishing games. That's pretty cool that you guys might have fished there as your first derby too. BTC.
It very well may have been the first tournament, because I remember we were super green. Mike was throwing a finesse fish, and it was so new, nobody else knew what it was. Guys were accusing it of being what's that, a flying lure? So it was back around that era, but it might have been the first one.
Nice.
Yeah, what's that fish that they have in there that like shad or carp kind of thing that'll run the bank?
Herring?
Is that herring in there?
Herring.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of herring in there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is 30 years ago about, and I remember them when we were chasing them things around thinking we were bass breaking.
Yeah, herring.
They were on the bank.
Yep.
Yeah. I haven't been there forever. So they were herring in there, huh?
They still do, yeah. Yep.
I remember the big test was, could you get your boat through the railroad trestle in the back? Because it's tidal, it's got heavy flow at times, and you could get your boat caught sideways and capsize, and it happened a ton of times. But I don't know. Somebody was telling me you can't get through there anymore because of trees, and it's starting to silt in. But I'm psyched, Riz. I'm psyched to hear that you went down there and caught some. Man, that's exciting. I guess it's a good wintering area. Those fish must come up from the Maurice River and spend their winter time up there.
Definitely.
Hell yeah.
You guys want to take a question real quick from the board?
Yeah,
it's an interesting one.
Yeah, hit it.
So we got a question from Dirty Dan. He came in through the BassU.TV message board, and he wants to know, how do you set your fishing goals for a new year? What's your thought process?
Win everything.
Like
GDP, take it away. You've got a big. You are carrying the biggest load, right? You're fishing at the very top. How have you set your goals for this year? What are you doing?
Man, if I had to put a goal compared to last year, just fishing clean at the level that I'm at, man, makes a big difference. I feel like fishing clean in the tournament can separate you from making the cut or even potentially winning the tournament. That's one of the biggest things. But like I said, I kind of took a week off, and from that week off until now, I don't think I've ever hit the books as hard as I've ever hit them. One of the days that took off, I even read Ike's complete book front to back. Just going hard, everything. Even just viewing these Bass University things that I viewed today to talk about tonight. You just never stop learning, and it's just amazing all the stuff that you can just sit down and you're willing to put the time out there. And that's kind of my goal for this year. Just give it a lot more than I ever gave it. I always gave it a lot, but now I'm just giving it a lot more than I ever have. And I've been hitting it hard. I've been feeling more tired than ever, but that's a good thing. So that's kind of my goal for 21. Hit it harder.
Those are great objectives. Riz, I want to talk to you because you had a big year this past year, and you won a big tournament. And I heard a lot of talk about everything from being a co-angler at some events to what are your plans? What do you think you're going to do this year?
I'm really on the same wave as Greg with this. Is just like leave it all out there. Go just in the. I don't know what events I'm going to fish yet as far as trails and everything. It's most likely just going to be the Northeast BFLs, but I guess the goal would be to leave nothing up to chance. Be the hardest working guy on the water in practice during the tournament, and don't leave anything up to anything else. Control what I can control. Fish hard. Try and focus. Be in the right mindset. Do my homework beforehand, learn as much as I can about the lakes that I'm fishing at, before I even get there. But it would honestly just be the same as Greg. Try and work really hard to get to where I want to be, and try and win everything. It's shoot for the stars, and you land somewhere, in a good place anyway. If you
Uranus,
setting high goals, you get decent results usually. So. That's it. Just work hard, try and catch some fish again, get lucky, land on them.
Well, that it's funny. Both of you guys kind of echoed one of our seminars, and I don't want to give it away. Not the Uranus part, but the the other part.
That would have been
about-
John Cruz's seminar on Uranus. By the way. If anyone knows John.
No, it's really funny, and it's coincidental. I want to talk. I can't wait to talk about it. It's high up on the list. It's all about mental and leaving it out there. And boy, you guys really echoed that. How about you, Brian? What are you going to do? You're going to expand. You've been going north a lot.
Yeah,
And what are you doing?
Well, I fished more in 2020 than I had in the previous 20 or so years. And so I'm just going to continue with that. Whether it's fishing BFLs as a co and fishing the whole season of it or just, I don't know what, or taking advantage of more of the opportunities to travel. I've been turning down, chances to go places, for the last 10 years and doing that more, just traveling more or setting goals like going north with a glide bait and just trying to catch some big ones and whatever. I'm just going to fish more and let it, let it go where it is. Let it be what it be.
Yeah, I want to echo that for me too, because I probably fished the least in 2020 than I ever have in my life, really. And, it had really good and bad things. The bad part is I missed it and I didn't get to fish as many tournaments or, teach as much beyond the water as much. I missed that part of it. But the great part about it was like, it just fills me with enthusiasm. Like, I just miss it so much. I can't wait to fish more in 2021. I'm excited to fish in the snow, sleet, hail. I don't care. 20-mile-an-hour winds. I can't wait to get back out to it. But so I'm going to do that in 2021. And one of the things that I always do every year is I make a commitment to learn something new. And I haven't decided what that is. And I'm going to take something new, and I'm going to really commit to it and try to advance that. I try to do that every year. But I'm also going to fish.
Got any ideas what you might want to try to learn?
I've fished the Tokyo rig, but I haven't committed to it. That's one that I want to, that's high on my list because it does some things that are really a lot different. And, so I'm looking at that one as a possibility. The other one, as you mentioned it, is a glide bait. I have experience with it, but I have not committed to tackling that big giant hard swim bait. So there are two things, but I'm still researching. I'm still studying and trying to figure out what I think is going to, help me based on what I'm going to fish this year.
Right.
I'm going to try to figure out which one that I really want to get after. But I'm going to fish more. I'm one of the things that I had a lot of fun getting beat up by Riz at the Chesapeake fishing the BFL tournament. I didn't enjoy that part of it, but I enjoyed fishing the tournament, and I want to fish that a little bit more, and I want to look at some of the buddy tournament trails and kind of. I recognize that a lot of the people that are part of the Bass University program are in those events, and I just want to get out and fish with them.
Yeah, I think that's a good call, man. I think that's a real good call.
I'm excited about that. I had a lot of fun, and I keep listening to Epic Eric and Justin Kimmel talk about the buddy tournaments. And Riz and I got to fish a buddy tournament, and we did really good. We didn't win, but we came close, and it's fun fishing those buddy tournaments, and I want to get back into that. That's something that I miss a lot. Hope to do more of in 21.
Yep.
So, but that's a great question. Who asked us that question?
Dirty Ankles
Riz?
Dan.
That was Dirty Ankles Dan.
Thank you, Dirty Ankles. Appreciate you being part of the program. And we've got a host of things. And we could talk fishing all night, but I'm thinking we probably got to jump in. Let's talk real fishing with the powerhouses of Bass University, and I'm going to throw it over to you, GDP, to start us off with our 10th. Our number comes in at number 10 on the Bass University top 10.
Just give us the introduction.
That's all you need is the intro. Number
Yeah.
10 will be John Murray, and it's jerkbait fishing made easy.
Yeah, jerkbait fishing made easy.
Launch ramp.
So we have a 1 minute clip for each one of these top 10s. We're going to play a little clip. Greg introed it. Riz set it up. I'm going to boost it over right here, and we're going to listen to John Murray, a little highlight clip from John Murray on jerkbait fishing made easy. And here we go.
Ramp. First thing in the morning, if you could get there first, you can make a long cast with a deep diving crankbait, jerkbait, get it down about 8 feet and just sit there. And that board, just sit there. Boom, big ones. You know, but you couldn't catch them any other way. They wanted that bait just sitting in the water column, dead still. That's cold water jerkbait fishing. Normally, when you're out there this time of year, let's say I'm going out on my lake, I'll be jerking it down about 4 or 5 feet, and I'll sit 10 to 15 seconds. You know, one. I mean, just so it's definitely sitting still. 10 seconds probably. Then work it a couple more feet and let it sit again. And then reel in and do it again. So you're not letting it sit there a minute. You're not letting it sit there 40 seconds. You're sitting there 10. But that'll give you a clue. If you start letting it sit there a little longer and you get a bite, you might want to let it sit there a little longer.
And there you have it. That was jerkbait fishing made easy with John Murray. Go ahead, Peter.
Great. Yeah, that was a great seminar. And there's some real highlights that I want to bring up about this seminar because it was really impactful for me. We did work with Kevin VanDam this summer on jerkbait fishing, and they both said the exact same thing. And I know you've heard it before. If you haven't, I'm telling you again, it's 12 months a year tool. It's every single month that it can be a factor. And John really weighs in on that. Most guys will put it down in the spring and how big of a mistake that can be. So that was a pretty powerful thing. And the other, well, this isn't about jerkbaiting, but I didn't realize he has won 30 boats in his career.
That's crazy.
That's quite a few boats.
30 boats?
Yeah.
30 boats. Yep. Oh, and it's over 30 boats actually. And those West Coasters, man, they had it they had it so good for so long out there. I mean, they could fish a weekend tournament for a boat every single weekend of the year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a big deal. A lot of those guys have won a lot. What's the rod company? The guy from the West Coast.
iRod.
iRod, yeah.
No, that's not who I'm thinking about, but he's won like over 100. Dobbins. Yeah. Gary Dobbins. Yeah, he's like got the record out there. He's won unbelievable amount of boats, but John is right there. John is a masterful angler, and he's consistently one of our best teachers, and I want to thank John for that. He talks about a shad wrap, using a shad wrap as a jerkbait.
Does he really?
Yeah. And I know you do that, and Mike does that. A lot of guys from South Jersey do that.
It's just
so
that
everybody
knows.
Invented it.
Yeah, he's going to do an Ike in the shop on it probably next week.
Is that right?
Yeah, and invent it. Yeah. So tell me about that because I haven't caught John's yet.
Well, he talks about the shad wrap, and which I was surprised that we're having a jerkbait seminar, and he brings out his shad wraps, and he didn't really dive in too deep on that component of it, other than a lot of people think that a shad wrap is just a crankbait, and he says it's a great one, but he believes that it's actually much better jerkbait than it is just a straight cranking tool. And what it does. It does a lot of really cool erratic things, and he talks about weighting it. Now he didn't dive into how he weights that. I know you guys have some cool ways to weight it.
Did he talk about the size that
he was holding up a mid-range one. If I had to guess, it might have been, I don't know, number 7 maybe.
Yeah,
but
interesting.
He also says and this is a problem that I've had with jerkbaits, which is I liked listening to him talk about it too, is I trouble myself. I have 10,000 jerkbaits. Mm-hmm. There's so many body styles, depths, color combination that I've struggled to, with having so many. But it's all about match the hatch for him. He does a great job teaching about that. He even talks about fluke fishing and teaches us about that. But I tell you, one of the biggest, this is another big takeaway, and I know this to be true, is when that is when you're catching them on that bite, it's most often the best tool on that lake at that time. Like when they're on a jerkbait bite, you can put your chatterbaits away, except unless you're Riz, and you can put your jigs away and you Senkos. Now wait a minute, let's not go too far. But you pretty much can, and it's the truth. Like when that's the deal, it's like it's like a magic button. There's nothing else that works like it. So that was cool. And here again, he gets into something that I think is really important, is the hooking percentage, like hooking up. He does a bunch of different, he talks at length about hooks and how he modifies jerk baits. And we could talk about that if you want right now, but he talks about so much about that. But the thing that I noticed again was I heard the double split ring, using the double split ring to get more rotation out of that treble hook and limit the amount of torque a fish can use to get himself unhooked. And he talks about that. He talks about the soft split rings, like the Fighter and the Mark Zono approach, where you're using braided line to replace your split rings. And he's not a proponent of that because it can break. As you know, his experience, he's had some failures with it. But so he opts for the double split ring. And
I mean, that changes the weight of the bait for a jerk bait that's coming, neutral buoyant out of the box. That definitely changes it.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I mean, I'm not trying to question John Murray, but
John did
because I didn't win 36 boats.
No,
but.
John did say it. He said in the colder months is when it really comes to play. When you're ripping going fast, he said it doesn't matter, obviously.
Yeah.
I mean, he did mention that.
But the double split ring is something I'm going to mess around with weighting a shad wrap, because you can do it. You can weight that. You can get it neutral buoyant just messing with the hardware on the bait, and adding a couple split rings can get you there.
Yep, and he talks about the balance. Like he's kind of trying to typically get his bait level or nose facing, and that's obviously a very successful technique. But we've got on the other side at Bass U, Hank Cherry winning with getting the tail down. Getting in reverse, putting that double split ring or the heavy treble on the rear, and allowing that bait to actually sink back into the fish's face at times. So it's fascinating. There's so many different strategies to be super successful with this jerk bait.
Yeah.
But John's got a lot of them. But the double split ring was key.
Can I chime in here a little bit too?
I guess.
Please.
So I watched it also, Pete, and I kind of took some notes too. Some things that stuck out to me was. When I was growing up, I kind of messed around too with crankbaits and like the red hook thing. And he kind of said, like, on a jerkbait, he puts his red hook in the front all the time because it gives that bass a target when biting the jerkbait when sitting still. I thought that was really cool.
At that point in time, those fish are going to be back there in the shell.
And the other thing was, this stuck out because I have seen this make a difference for me. When he was talking about when the bass were on like really small bait fish, putting a feather on the back hook, because he thought most of the time the feather size was actually matching the bait size in the water, and that's what he thinks the fish were targeting in on when he had the feather on the back. So that was pretty cool.
Yep. He does feathers. He does red hooks. Yep. He mixes and matches hook styles and designs.
Yeah.
He's one of those guys that does the EWG and the round bend on the same bait.
Oh my goodness.
Yep. Talk about all that.
Yeah,
I can't deal with it. It's too much.
He kind of did a breakdown too on match to hatch, and he kind of gave like a breakdown time of the year from what I gathered from it. Like basically, May to June typically is when he throws the smaller jerk baits, because that's when your bait's a lot smaller. And then he went from like July all the way to April throwing bigger jerk baits because you're matching the hatch size wise. So you can tell John really has a lot of experience behind this jerk bait.
That's wild.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's real wild. Yep.
I just got a text from our boy Mike Reed and his picture of him and his son. He caught a 9-1 the day after Christmas.
Wow.
Whoo. Congrats.
Try that up here, John. Mike Reed. Try catching that up here.
John Reed.
John Reed.
Hey, hey, Pete. So you're older. I've never heard this.
You're older.
John.
Hey, Pete, you're old.
Well, I didn't say old. I said
Merry
older.
Christmas.
I was being
Pete.
nice.
Oh my God.
He said. Have you ever? Would you stop? He said, you ever heard it called crispin or no? Jerkbait and crispin.
Yeah, no, I mean I have never heard that, but he said that in the seminar. I forget what that meant. What is he? Oh, that's right.
So they call it jerkbaiting either crispin or ripping. That's what they call it, jerkbaiting. So if they were on a bite, I guess in California, they would kind of keep it hush hush, saying they were crispin. There was some guy that was the first guy to win a tournament there on jerkbaits, and that was his last name or something.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
They called it crispin. That's right. And I remember because the West Coast guys, when they first came out, they were always talking about ripping, and we were always jerking. The East Coast guys, don't say it, BTC. The East Coast guys were jerking, and the West Coast guys were ripping. Rip baits. They always called them rip baits, and I'm like, what? I was like looking at Mike. What the hell are they talking about? Rip bait,
And then you got CRISPR, and that's just some kind of DNA.
Crispin.
No, CRISPR.
Oh, CRISPR.
Yeah, and that's I can't explain it, but basically it manipulates DNA. But that's a whole nother show.
Oh.
But we have number 9 ready to roll, queued up, and we also have a viewer in the waiting room here on Zoom. So let's hit number 9 first, since Rich has got that dialed up, and we're going to listen to It Is Greg.
Yes.
We have
so number 9 is Ish Monroe.
That's right.
It is pre-spawn power fishing.
That's right. Pre-spawn power fishing by Ish Monroe, and here we
Shallowest water possible
One of our
at the edge of that dock. So when you pull up to a spot like this is going to tell you what phase that these fish are in. And so you pull up there and you catch one off the corner of that dock, then you fish the back of the dock and you don't catch one in the back of that dock, and then you fish the back of it and you don't catch one in the back, all the way at the back into that dock. That tells you that the majority of the fish are in the early pre-spawn phases. So you're going to concentrate and you're going to maximize your fishing location. When you can continuously present a bait to where the fish are at majority of the time, not wasting time fishing that back of that dock. You're going to pull up and fish the front of the dock. You're going to spend a lot more time catching more fish because you're focused on the location of where the fish are at. At that point in time,
we'll get it.
Those fish are going to be back there in the shallowest water possible at the edge of that dock. So when you pull up to a
and all right.
That was Ish Monroe power pre-spawn fishing.
Times 2.
What I thought was cool, what I thought was really interesting about what he said in that part of the seminar was that once you identify what section of a piece of cover those fish are using based on what phase the fish are in, it really allows you to expand on your pattern and start covering water inside your pattern a lot faster.
No doubt.
You know what I mean? You figure out, all right, they're on the shadow side of the docks, midway down the dock. You know, you don't mess around fishing the rest of the dock anymore because you know the bite's going to be on that one section. So it's pull up, get it, and go. Whereas, you're not sitting around wasting time on that dock. And then the other thing that stood out to me in that seminar was how early Ish Monroe will start to incorporate the frog into his fishing. And the size of the bites that he says that he gets when he gets those fish to commit up to a frog in the pre-spawn, 9 times out of 10, it's a big, big one. So I thought that was really interesting. But what really stood out was how you can cover water and just be so much more effective once you figure out what phase those pre-spawn fish are in and figuring out where they are on the cover.
Is that I thought the same thing. I'm listening to him you can just by fishing a series of docks, you can determine whether they're spawning, pre-spawn, post-spawn, just by how they're positioning on the docks. That was pretty cool. You know, that was kind of an eye-opening thing for me. And just like you said, it was his quote I wrote down was, when you fish a frog this time of year, you get the bites you want.
Nice.
Right. And that says it all, doesn't it?
Our eye in the sky, our the brains of the Bass University just chimed in. Jimmy Crisping.
Is that his name?
Crisping.
He was from Missouri. Yeah.
Ah.
But he's the guy. He was the guy they were talking about. Jimmy Crisp from Missouri.
Awesome.
Shout
That's
out
where
to Jimmy
jerkbaits
Crisp.
really got started. Really.
Right out there, same as the Ned rig.
Nah, that was Midwest, dude.
Didn't you say Missouri?
Well, yeah, I'm sorry. I got confused.
Have another shot, BTC.
Absolutely. Glad you mentioned it.
I'll tell you what, Riz. That seminar with Ish, like the Upper Bay is a classic spot for that. Like they tell you instantly a lot of times that time of the year.
Yeah.
So many times I've done just what he just said.
Right.
You know.
No, what section of dock they're on, or
Correct.
like what part of the dock? Yeah.
What part of the dock? And I mean, it runs true all the way
Yeah.
through the whole entire northeast, if that's where you're at.
Yeah.
It really does.
The whole
Something-
northeast.
The whole northeast.
He said something that was echoed what we talked that you and I found when we were out fishing the Upper Bay, Brian. How we figured out how to pattern 2 and 3 inch bass. Remember that day?
Yeah, we definitely did.
Not throwing a frog, I guess.
Well, he went on about the fall spawn.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
And and I really hadn't heard anybody address it. Certainly anybody try to pattern it. And he addressed.
We had it dialed.
Yeah.
You had the fry. You
we
catch and fry.
We had the offspring.
You have despawned.
Yeah.
Yep. We were zipping the chatterbaits, and they were just on it. You know,
They were. They were
on that thing. Good.
All right,
but that's cool. Fall spawn.
I'm gonna. We've got a viewer here in the Zoom, a Bass U subscriber. We're going to attempt to connect them.
All right.
I don't know what just happened.
We were zipping the chatter.
There he is.
Connecting audio.
Yeah,
We hear audio.
his camera's off.
Turn your audio.
Hey, bud, turn your camera on and turn the show off in the background.
I think we lost him.
And he got scared and left.
Yep. I'll try again. Ish has been with us since the beginning. I'm looking around. I got all this paraphernalia from our Bass University programs over the years. Not that kind. And we
got you covered.
It's Ish was there from day one, from our very first year of seminars, and it's always good to have him. And he's a fan favorite. He's an absolute fan favorite. So it's not surprising for him to come in number 9. And I can't confirm or deny this, but I believe that he is absolutely the best lure salesman in volume that we have ever seen at the Bass University. I've never seen anybody when he says something, people will wipe those spinnerbaits right off the shelf. Crankbaits, spinnerbaits, you name it.
I've seen
It's
it firsthand.
Have you really?
Yeah. Yep. With fishing reels.
Unbelievable.
That's right, he's the Iowa guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's tremendous. I mean, it's he speaks honestly and he shoots straight, and it connects with people. But they step up. They buy his bling spinnerbait and his biggie square bill, and I'm sure he has impacts for all the other stuff that he's throwing.
Yep.
But I see a new Zoom caller chiming in right there. Our own professional fish head. I thought we were going to get one of the callers in, but it looks like we got JK instead.
You got a Bass U TV subscriber.
Yeah.
Long-time subscriber.
That's a fact. That's a fact.
Glad to be here, guys.
Good to have you, buddy.
This is my favorite show, man. We're celebrating the work again, looking back on 2020. Had a lot of amazing seminars this year, and it was surprising to see, some in the top 10, and surprising to see some not quite get there that I kind of expected. And it's just always fun to look at it, you know.
It's fun, and you do a great job. For those of you that don't know, JK puts this list together for us. And, I'm not sure, if this is true or not, but I think he takes bribes and influences from some of the pros to get high up on the list, looking at some of these names. Is that true?
That is not true.
Do they send you giant swim baits or Daiwa reels, or how are they getting on this list?
Well, Fred Rambanis has sent me some swim baits before, but as you can tell, he's been number one before, and he's not on the list. So maybe there was a year he sent me swim baits and a year he didn't.
Word to the wise, Bass University instructors. JK can be bought.
I can be bought.
I can too.
Yeah, me and Brian are suckers for those high dollar swim baits. Some glidas.
I'll take anything.
The glide. Well, we've got another seminar coming up. Are we going to try to do another Zoom call? Do we have anybody on the IM board?
We lost him, but we're going to go ahead and set up number 8. Well,
okay.
Let me just do like this right here. No, hold on, that right there. We're going to set up number 8.
Yes. So number 8 is Jason Christie, a spinner bait for every situation.
Ooh, how about that?
Spinner bait is hot. It's hot again.
The spinner bait for every situation by Jason Christie. Yeah. And
there's a situation. There's so many situations out there for different spinner baits. And I get a call one day from the president of the company, and he says, I'm tired of seeing you switch blades, customize your spinner bait for each. We want to make something that you can sell. And I said, well, if you're going to make what I'm going to use out of the box, you're going to have to make a lot of spinner baits because I use a lot of them. Now, there's a couple, 3 or 4 that I use a lot, more than the rest of them, but I use them all. I think there's 70-something SKUs of the bait, and there's no doubt that throughout the season I'll tie almost every one of those on at some point and use it because every condition's different. And I may use 2 or 3 different spinner baits in the same day on the same lake based on the conditions that I'm fishing.
Dude, spinner baits, what do you say, GDP?
That's not me. That's
me. So what stood out to me a lot about that is that one, that Jason Christie was approached to design a spinnerbait, and when he was approached to design a spinnerbait, the amount of SKUs and different blade combinations that he felt necessary in order to put his name on something. Now, why that's important is because a lot of people will see a spinnerbait laying next to a spinnerbait and assume that they're exactly the same. And then when he goes as far to say that in a day, he'll throw 3 to 4 different kinds of spinnerbait combinations in a day, that really hits it home for me that there are really subtle differences inside of baits, not only spinnerbaits, all baits, little subtle differences that are going to make the difference between getting 1 bite and getting 4 bites. And, another thing that came up later in that seminar was where Jason talks about the weights of his spinnerbaits. And one of the things he said is that he'll throw up to a 3/4 ounce to 1 ounce spinnerbait in his water as shallow as 5 feet. Now, that kind of blows my hair back because, I would just never think to throw that heavy a spinnerbait that shallow. But for him, he wants to keep that bait moving, keep the blade moving, thumping hard. Spinnerbaits, they're extremely versatile, and who better to learn about them than Jason Christie?
No doubt.
Yeah, he's a powerhouse with it. I can't remember which tournament it was, but he was so committed to it that almost to a fault with his big giant pre-spawn spinnerbait with the big swim bait trailer. And he wound up losing that. Isn't that the classic he lost to Edwin at a Grand? And
Christie had a great classic. He was on a man.
Kind of had the same thing at Hartwell too.
Yeah. And it's awesome to see the spinnerbait in conversation, making the top 10. I mean, for 5 years it was chatterbait. More than that, probably chatterbait. The spinnerbait. David Dudley famously said, "I threw out all my spinnerbaits. Don't need them anymore. I've got a chatterbait." And so the spinnerbait has really making a rebound. I'm sure it is in sales, but guys are catching fish. Honestly, I think they're probably catching fish because not as many guys are throwing them these days. So
for sure,
the fish aren't seeing it very much.
Hey, Pete, when did the chatterbait come out?
Gosh, it's great. That's a can-do question, but it's got to be, it sat in my boat for 2 years before I threw it.
I think it was like
that's really what I was getting at.
If I had a guess, I'm going to say it was like 01 to 03.
Okay,
that's my guess. Because in 04 we started throwing heavy.
And and then Pete's rusted out, and he got like 2nd gen, 3rd gen. Finally tied it on.
I could be wrong though.
I had to get pummeled. A guy got in my boat and started smashing them on it. That was when I couldn't believe it. I had him in my boat for 2 years, and he said, just feel what it feels like. And the first cast I made with it, it opened my eyes, and you get the dumb look on your face, like, how could you have let this go by? But I did, and I think Bryan Thrift I think it was his 6th or 7th tournament he won before I was convinced. But it was
Jesus, Pete. All right, you win one more, and then I'm
definitely gonna throw it then. If you win one more.
2000
GDP, I think, is all over that. I think it was like 18 years ago when Brian.
I just Googled it. It said 2006.
Oh, really?
Bladed swim jig burst onto the bass fishing scene in 2006.
Okay.
I got a text message from Jeremiah It says 2004.
It was in 2000.
Yeah. It's funny. Like I said, I got it from an outdoor writer that was at an event where they were just being launched. Wow. So I had in my hands the very first ones, and it looked so awkward. It didn't have a weed guard. I'm like, how are you ever going to throw this thing?
Till you throw it.
Yep. Then I threw it, but so anyway, the spinnerbait has come full circle. I don't think it ever stopped working, but so many people were chatterbait fishing that they stopped throwing it. And and I've said this before at Bass University, it's the greatest line that I think I've ever said.
Hold on a second. Let me go full screen on you for this.
How do you, because this is the big question, how do you determine when you throw a chatterbait and when you throw a spinnerbait? Because they're so similar, and it's really simplistic. You throw the chatterbait when they're biting the chatterbait better, and you throw the spinnerbait when they're biting the spinnerbait better.
Well said, Pete.
That was amazing.
I know.
I can't believe I full screened for that.
Gotta love it. But it was good.
It was good.
Yeah.
But no, things do run in cycles, though, right? I mean, we've all experienced that. You have a hot bait one year, and then you completely load up on them in the off season. You don't catch a single fish on it the next year.
And it's a lot of it's media. It used to be, it's crazy, Bassmasters would write about something, and it would just be everybody would try to be figuring out how to use it. And it's weird how the media and the exposure on lures, they can cause really, really great lures to be discontinued. And it's crazy like that. Like, you look at some of the old lures that have been discontinued because they just didn't sell. The common angler wasn't going and making the purchase. Not that those baits ever got bad, or ever stopped triggering strikes, but for some reason it didn't get caught in the wave of media and exposure, and it didn't make the sales, and they discontinued those products. So I know we've all got some discontinued products in our tackle arsenal,
Oh yeah.
But
I got a question off of YouTube, a little bit unrelated, but sort of kind of maybe. Rob Welsh wants to know, who was the most fun instructor on tape? JK, you've been to them all.
Most fun?
Most funnest.
I mean, the crowd favorite year in and year out is when we have Swindle in the classroom. And you know, as much of a funny guy as he is, he really does turn on his serious face a lot, you know, with his mental side stuff, and then but he does keep you laughing.
Oh yeah.
I mean, I don't know, man. I'll still say this, and he's not in the room now, so I probably, you know, but Ike is the great showman. Ike's the best seminar speaker that there is. You know, he kept seminar speaking alive, you know, with he and Pete starting the Bass University back up, you know, after all the seminars you guys used to travel and do with Bassmaster and whatnot. But Ike's all over the place, man. I mean, you get more than you paid for. He's, you know, we say 45 minutes for every seminar speaker, and he's going to go an hour and a half.
Yeah, we got to cut him off all the time.
But you can't stop. So it's not always like a comedy show. There's a lot of funny moments with Ike, but he's a great entertainer, and you always walk away educated too. So
I want to weigh in because there's a sleeper out there that cracks the crowd up every time, and he catches you sideways because you don't expect it. But Randy Howell just has a sense of humor that is, I don't know, it's spot on. I mean, I'm telling you right now, he'll have the whole class erupting.
No kidding.
Half a dozen times throughout his seminars. You know,
that's cool. I've never have to check that out.
I know when you talk to him, he just seems so, you know, mild mannered and
like Ned Flanders.
But he lights it up, man. I'm telling you right now, he lights it up every time.
I got you.
A great question.
Ken Duke would like to agree with Jeremiah Eudes and say 2004. Got mainstream in 04. Other variations earlier.
Confirmation. Ken Duke.
Checker is better than yours. Ken Duke.
That's right. I'll put Ken's brain against everybody.
Yeah, he wins. Great seminar. Jason Christie coming on with a spinnerbait, and we're moving on up the list.
I got one more for you, Pete. Before we get to that, I got one more YouTube. I believe it's YouTube or Facebook. And this is a quick and easy one for you, Pete, because you just covered this. Jared Kemper wants to know what's the best-selling color chatterbait, and I think you just did this.
I did. Now, can I remember it?
Oh yeah,
there you go.
It's
Jared.
definitely,
can Pete remember? Hold on, I'm waiting for him to answer.
Yeah, it's the jackhammer is the best seller.
Yes,
and I remember now. It's clear. It's the half-ounce green pumpkin.
There we go.
Evergreen jackhammer is the number one SKU for that.
That's my least favorite color.
Me too.
I'm telling it's first and third PDP. It's third. It also takes third place with the 3/8 ounce model.
That's the most universal color. That's probably why.
Yep.
That's right. All right, Pete, we're gonna cue this next one up. Greg, what are we
so number 7, we have Ot Defoe. It's lipless and lipped pre-spawn cranking.
Lipless and lipped pre-spawn cranking.
Yeah, it was kind of a lipless versus lipped kind of an idea, you know.
Ready. And there we go.
That stuff that's a lot steeper. You know, I think of places at home that I fish same time of year as the Classic, where I might be sitting in 10 or 12 or 15 feet of water throwing up to the top of that flat being in 2. Those are the kind of places where I'm going to fish a crankbait, because if those fish are not just right on the very top of that break, if they're kind of right on the edge or out off the side a little bit, I'm never going to get that lipless crankbait in front of them. It's not going to follow that contour enough unless I'm stopping the bait, letting it get to the bottom, wind it 3 cranks, let it go back to the bottom. It's not going to follow that contour change at the bottom well enough to stay where the fish are. So those type of places certainly are better suited. That's just a more effective tool to throw a standard crankbait on those places. If you know the fish are up on the very, very top of that shelf, they're right up on the top and that's where they are, you could catch them on a lipless. But if they're on the side, they're on the break at all, if they're kind of scattered out like that, that standard crankbait's going to be more effective. That stuff that's...
All right.
It's funny listening to Ott's voice there, and it didn't sound like Ott's voice because I don't know if you guys knew this, but you can speed up the playback on your on the
that.
Bass U. And when you get the Tennesseans and the Southern guys talking, you can crank that up to double time, and still get the message. You know,
All right. That's not,
Maybe not
that
a
ain't
freighter.
I cranked because I always listening to Odd Seminar, and I cranked that sucker up, but I was
I gotta try that.
didn't sound the same when I was listening to him right there, but it's a great seminar. I mean, it's an interesting topic. You know, when do you throw lipless? When do you throw your standard crankbaits? And here's one of Ott Defoe's OGs, flat side. It's one of his new baits, but the lipless, it was a lot, and this is a lot of what he talks about in his crank fishing is silence, and you can hear there's no rattles in this bait that he designed for Rapala. And the other one that he talked a lot about on the lipless bait that he likes and he used to win the classic was the Arashi bait. It's the Arashi Vibe, and he did a lot of custom colors and stuff, which I thought was really cool. But it's about silence, and with fishing pressure being what it is in a lot of parts of the country, it's so key to being able to trigger strikes behind people. You got to have that silence. You got to have that silent component of your bait. So many great stuff. If you're trying to get confidence in cranking and lipless cranking, I mean, you want to check this seminar out. One of the things that he talks about, and he kind of did it on the down low, and you're a candidate for this, but I don't think you can do it, GDP. But in the rules in his tournaments that he fishes the MLF stuff. He uses a drone, and he was looking around for people in the room. He's like checking to make sure the other pros that were speaking that day weren't listening.
Huh.
But when he's allowed to, he uses a drone to be able to identify current and creek channels and all kinds of things that are extremely helpful during your practice period. So a lot of tournaments, I don't think on the elites, I don't think Bassmasters let you do it.
No, we can't, unless you're doing some kind of like video.
But I can tell you this because I was out with Jeff Olson, our producer extraordinaire at Bass University TV, and we had his drone up in the air on the flats. What an unbelievable view that was.
Be quiet, Pete.
I mean, you could see all the gouges, the depressions, the heavy grass. Oh, it's unbelievable.
Yep.
What you could see, and all that footage is now locked away on the Bass U for only me to see. Riz, sorry.
That's all right. I'll just keep my trolling motor on 10.
It was really cool, but we are also limited there because we have the Aberdeen Proving Ground, so you can't fly too high near the military base. But he talks about the importance of flow through a system, and he uses a snap. He takes the split ring off of his crankbaits, which is interesting to me because I don't do that. I use a snap and I keep them on. And he's been in situations where the snap has gotten into the pinch point of your split ring on your tie, and it's actually come out of the split ring on a big fish before for him. I've never had that happen. It's probably because I don't catch big fish, but it's never happened to me. But now I'm scared. I'm going to be cranking and have an 8-pounder on, and I'm going to be thinking of Ott Defoe and get nervous and lose the fish. But I like that he uses a snap. I use it too. It makes you so versatile. You can change depths and colors and sizes when you're cranking, and especially when you're trying to locate fish and pattern fish. So great seminar coming in at what's coming in at number 7.
Yep.
Number 7. Ott Defoe. And we've got a couple people in the queue, Pete.
What do we have? Who do we have?
Oh, we've got a couple Bass U subscribers sitting over there. You want to try to bring one in?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk to them.
This is like a box of chocolates. You never know what you're going to get.
while you're bringing them in, guys, I want to let you guys know, if you haven't subscribed, still going on till it's good through tomorrow. We have 33% off all of our gift cards and 33% off annual subscriptions. So if you have been sitting on your hands, hesitating to sign up, now is an amazing time to do it. So get on over to BASSKY.tv and get yourself subscribed. You can actually do it right now, and you can get your question asked here on, and we'll give you some cool prizes, and we'll try to zoom you in. But it looks like we had another Zoom failure back there, BTC.
Yeah, we're gonna work through that. So just stick with us. We got I got a question from a subscriber on the board here. The Texas Huntsman wants to know how much time do we spend scouting with satellite maps?
How about take it, GDP? Do you get on Google Earth? What do you do?
Yeah, I do it a lot. So prior to a tournament, I mean, it's one of the best ways that I can tell you that you can naturally figure out what's going on in the body of water between, the actual layout of the river. There's a lot of stuff that's on Google Earth as far as creeks you can't really see a lot of times when you're graphing. One good thing that I can tell you Humbird does have, Humbird, if you buy the Lake Master Plus, it allows you to do Google Earth basically overlay on your actual graph if you're inside of your boat, and I do use that a lot of times to kind of reference what I've already gone over. For every elite tournament that I fish prior to the event, I go on Google Earth, and I actually have a book that I make every year of all the events, and I have all the turns, everything on the river system or lake, wherever it's at, and basically it gives me a live shot. So I'm out in my boat, I have my book with me, I can open it up, I can reference it off my graph compared to what I did at home. So I use it a lot, big time.
Agreed. I do too. I use it more and more all the time. The Google Earth Pro is something that we're starting to incorporate into our seminars, guys. So you're going to see some of our 2021 stuff showing aerial shots as well, as Google Earth stuff. But it's great at historical photographs, like when, you can identify old piers, old buildings that are now submerged prior to the places getting flooded. If you're on a reservoir, you have historical aerials that show when the lake was in drought or down at Winterpool. So you can see so much, as well as low tide if you're in a tidal body of water. So I'm telling you right now, if you're preparing for a tournament and you're not fishing, you're not in your boat, and you're stuck at home, getting on Google Earth, getting on those aerials is a super key thing. But I see a Zoom caller has entered our show, and one of our subscribers from Bass U. What's your name and where are you calling from?
My name's Adam.
What's up, peoples?
Welcome to the show.
Yeah, there you go. BTC, baby.
What's up?
Not much. I heard you laugh, man. I said, "Oh, he let me in." I said, "Oh, man."
I said, "Oh no, it's him." Yes, I'm so excited, man.
No, the Philly guy. I'm just right across the bridge from you guys.
Yeah, you are. What's your question for the Bass U panel, Adam?
Oh, let's see. I actually got a question for you, Pete, because I don't have a boat. So, what would be your approach? Your approach for fishing from the shore in the Delaware River?
Try to find a boat. No, honestly, here.
I mean, structure wise.
Yeah, no. Here, I say that because the river is such a tricky place to fish that it's very difficult to fish from the bank, and so it's challenging. What you got to pick your spots. But here's the beauty of it: is there are certain times a year, and this time of year is one of them, where a lot of the bass are very, very accessible from the bank. So that's the first piece of advice is really just target on the spring and the fall. That's where you're going to be able to get closest. In the summertime, you're going to find those fish in the current, way up creeks, places that really are difficult to access from the bank. Again, in the backwaters, guys walk Tullytown all the time this time of year. And it's great backwater. It's a wintering area. It's great in the spring and the fall, in the winter, and you can have a lot of great success fishing from the bank. This time of year.
Yeah, I actually seen you a couple times in my honey holes down there. I don't remember. I told you. Remember?
Which the raccoon hole?
Down towards South Philly.
The hell's your damn problem, Pete? Are you kidding me right now?
Oh, I love
it. He loves it. He loves it when we say that. Where were we at, Adam?
Gloves are off, man. That was unacceptable.
You came by South Philly.
Okay.
You know, I don't want to give up your because I know you're a guide and everything.
Yeah,
too,
Darby
so.
Creek.
Yeah. You can give it up. You can give it up. Brian's mad at me. I fish in the spring, and there's places in the Schuylkill River. There's places like down in Darby Creek, they have good wintering holes. The Rancocas Creek, way up in the back, has some great wintering areas. You know, and the springtime is really cool because right in the heart of Philadelphia and Camden, you know, there's great spawning coves that are accessible from the bank.
Yeah.
And,
that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what, I got some honey holes down there and I actually found some structure down there. A lot of structures down there. Those old pylons that you only see at low tide. So.
Yep. Well, there's lots of that, right? We've had commercial and industrial traffic on that river for 200 years. And, there's stuff down there. I can't even tell you how old it is, but makes for great bass habitat.
Yeah, I actually found on Google, like they must have took it at low tide. When the satellite came over, I actually found 2 ships that are actually sunk in there. You probably know where that's at.
There's a few of them. One of the guys did good in one of our tournaments. He was fishing a sunken barge, and he fished it in November in the wrong time of year where they shouldn't have been there, and wound up catching like 17 pounds in one of the tournaments that I fished recently. On the river. Wow. It's crazy. 17 pounds on the river, guys. If you're watching from Texas, I apologize for getting excited about that. 17 pounds is a big deal for us,
Oh yeah.
Mike,
big time.
Mike Reed with his 9-1,
We get excited about 3-pounders on the Delaware River,
Hey, let's keep the party rolling. We got one more Bass U subscriber in the queue, and I just brought him in. This is Dale Jr. He was on last week.
Dale.
Yeah.
Dale. Meet Adam. Adam, Dale. Pete.
Hey, what's up, Dale? Is he on there?
We got sound.
Can you hear us, Dale? We can see you, and can you hear us on the show?
We don't got sound.
We don't got sound.
It's all right. We'll keep it rolling here.
We got the great visual though. We can see the beard, the spectacular beard, Dale, and we appreciate it. You might have your mute button on your lower left-hand corner on your Zoom screen. If you can click your microphone there, maybe that'll get you back up. It's good stuff. We're not improving our Zoom,
this is
production here.
We need a seminar. We need to do a seminar on how for people to zoom in.
No, I like it. I think this is perfect.
There we go.
Dale, what's up, buddy?
Up, Dale. 2 times in 1 week, ridiculous.
Hey, man, it's awesome to have you again. We hope you had a good Christmas, man.
Yeah, you guys too. It was amazing. I have a little 3-year-old, and she was just stoked.
Did she get her first bait caster?
She got her first regular Zebco.
All
deal.
right.
Yeah.
That's awesome, man. Well, I'm glad you had a great holiday. It's great to have you back with us. Remind me again, where are you calling from, Dale?
So I'm from Hillsborough, New Jersey.
Oh,
right
so
up there
like
by
central.
Yeah,
mountain folk.
Yes. Yep. We got a mountain over here and everything.
Hey, man. Well, I'm glad you made it hanging out with us again, man. What do you want to talk about?
So, I wanted to ask you, I watched that video you doing like the on your hummingbird and stuff, and you threw your crankbait out and you got your jig. Like, that was ridiculous.
That was absolutely insane. That was impossible.
And that was the first time you've ever done that, right?
Well, I actually could see that on my 360, the jig on the log, and I was,
Oh my
I was
gosh.
trying to hit it with my crank. That's not. If you get, for those of you watching, I was showing how I set up on Habitat with my Humminbird 360, and there's a big log, and I'm showing it on the 360 and how to hit it, and I broke off a jig on it, and it was like what 10 casts later, I get my crankbait hung on the same exact spot, and I get my jig back. It's impossible. It will never happen again.
No, it won't.
But with the new Humminbird Live, I bet you I could see that jig sitting on that log, you know?
Oh man, I wish I had that. And then, you're going to have to wear your Santa hat on the boat because I signed up for your guide service.
All right.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
That's awesome. Well, man, I look forward to getting you in the boat and going fishing.
Yeah, what
man.
day we going? I'm in for this one. I ain't missing it.
But I want to say, the rap sessions you do with some of the guys, those things are awesome. Like Gerald Swindle, I mean, he gives the juice, and he's a true guy, man.
Yeah. Well, he's the best. We're going to be talking about him. We already talked about him tonight, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
And then JK, your co-angling stuff is I'm really listening to you. I love your secrets and everything. It's great.
Oh, man, I appreciate that.
Appreciate you.
Love fishing in the back of a boat, man.
That's awesome.
And once again, we're going to give a shout out to JK for being the All-American champion this year in 2020. That was a great thing that happened.
Captain America, baby.
Right.
That's
I'm really not all that mad at 2020, man. I'm really not.
I hear that.
Oh, that's awesome. We love to hear the good stories. And Dale, can't wait to fish with you, man. And,
yeah, I can't wait either.
We'll as soon as this weather breaks, we'll schedule it up.
Awesome. And then, I have a question for GDP because he's a little quiet, but, I want to know how he started out, how he got into everything and how he got into each level and stuff.
Yeah, man. Thanks for the question. For me, I was lucky. My grandpa actually bass fished, so that's kind of like the very first starting point to kind of, get myself into fishing itself. But from there, I kind of it's so funny how my story worked out. Like as I grew up, it's like I just met the right people all the way through. So my grandpa bass fished. From there, my neighbor was actually a part of a bass fishing club, so I used to hang out with him on the side. And then I kind of got in his bass club, went from there, learned about the federation, learned about bigger buddy tournaments, and just kept working my way up the levels all the way through. And then when I thought I was ready, man, I tried the Bassmaster Opens, and here we are today fishing the Bassmaster Elite Series. So it's just a big stepping stone level thing for me, basically from start till now. So that's kind of how I did it.
When did you get your first nice boat? How old?
Well, first nice boat, man, I wasn't probably until I was probably 18. I bought my first glass boat. Yeah, I at that point I was already fishing a lot, so I was pretty committed. It wasn't brand new, but it was my first glass boat.
Yeah.
From there just kept working up.
That's early. Yeah. I had at 18, I had a really nice 17-pound thrust trolling motor.
I worked. The thing about it was, like, for me, even when I was in high school, like in my family, it's all about like you got to work. My dad had a construction company, so I would leave work. They'd pick me up, and I'd go to work for 2-3 hours, even when I was young, before I was driving. So I was always working. So that was kind of my route. Never wanted to go to college. Just fish.
Yeah, same. I agree.
Hey, well, here you guys both are, and like I said, we're going to get out fishing. Dale, thanks. It was great seeing you again, man. And Adam, thanks for being with us. Thanks for hanging on the Zoom. Want to wish you guys a happy New Year. Let's kick off 2021 with a bang.
Yeah, buddy.
That's right.
Definitely.
Thanks for having me.
No shooting off them guns in the street, Adam.
Oh God, here we go.
I know how you misbehave, dude. Get it together, kid.
Yeah,
All
all
right.
right.
Thanks, guys.
All right. Have a
All right.
good night. Happy New Year, guys, and thanks for being part of Bass University program
Yes.
and you guys zooming in with us tonight.
Yep.
And we're
Happy
going.
New Year's.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, buddy.
And we're going to keep moving up our list because we got to get to number one
At some point tonight.
At some point tonight, and so the next GDP, I'm going to throw it to you to talk to us about number 6.
Yeah, so number 6, we got Jordan Lee, and it's muddy water bass fishing. So this one kind of hit home with me, man, because, growing up here in South Jersey, this is something that we were faced with a lot. When I was watching Jordan's seminar on muddy water fishing, a lot of the stuff he said.
I'm going to try to cover as much water as I can.
Hold on a second. Yep. Yeah, hey, Greg.
No, I was just going to say a lot of stuff he says, man. I mean, he hit like perfect. I mean, it's to the T. So go ahead, Brian, roll her in.
Let her rip.
Possibly can. And that's probably the biggest mistake that I see made is guys just not covering enough water. And it's simple to, say that, but it really is. We all have the same baits. We all have, the same rods and everything. But covering water and hitting as many of those high percentage targets, like that rock, that wood, as you can in a day, it really pays dividends because you could hit 1 or 2 more banks than that next person. If you're a tournament guy, those 2 banks could produce, big time for you. So it's definitely, something to take in consideration when you pull up to a lake. And this is my number 1 go-to bait, though, as far as covering water.
Yeah, so, watching the whole entire seminar versus what you guys just saw right there, so I'm just going to kind of pick it up, in the beginning, kind of like where myself or Jordan would pick up at. And the first thing with anything bass fishing, you want to look at time of the year, but especially during a muddy water situation because, man, it really can make a big difference. So time of the year, is it winter, spring, summer, fall? Basically, muddy water, the cause and effect, depending on, what's the cleanest, where's it coming from, or where's it clean up first. We're going to kind of get into kind of all this stuff, but I just want to kind of break it down real fast. Time of the influx, how many days has it been, since the rainstorm? Where do they go? And this is pretty cool. This is one thing about muddy water fishing that I can tell you that's a big, giant bonus. So basically in muddy water fishing, you can cut off about 3/4 of the lake because all them deep fish, a lot of them won't bite if they're still there, but a lot of the fish in muddy water situations, man, they get right against the bank. So just always remember that. You can use it confidently. There's so many times growing up in, my local tournaments, we would have a mudstorm come in, and guys would be, out of the tournament before it even started. But that's a really good thing to think about. So, going back to the time of the year, let's just say, for example, it's a springtime tournament. I would say it's probably the most common time that you see a muddy water situation, and Jordan talks about this a lot. Look at the classic Randy Howell one. That's a perfect example of a muddy water situation and what to key in on. Rip, rock. That's what Jordan was saying. Places where you can burn down fish really fast. Anything them fish can back up to in a muddy water situation, whether it's trees, rocks, docks, anything, that's where you're going to key in on. Now, besides that, Jordan talked about how he loves a crankbait, a square bill. Square bill is a great choice. Obviously, you see the same color, red colors, orange colors, bright colors, anything loud is exactly what you're looking for. The reason why he picks a square bill crankbait is because a lot of them fish, if it's muddy, what are they going to do? They're going to butt up against whatever they're holding to. So the square bill is great for that. You can bounce it off anything, keep burning water. And the other thing about a square bill too, man, it's 0 to 5 feet. That's where most of your fish are going to be. A lot of times the fish are going to be literally in 0. I mean, almost to the point where their back is out of the water. And that's so true, especially early on in the season, springtime. Now, when it comes to one of the hardest things in bass fishing, in my opinion, and Jordan talks about it a lot, is when you have a cold water muddy scenario. That's literally probably the most hardest time of year to catch a fish in cold water when it first gets muddy. Now, you can probably read about it a lot, and Jordan talks about how with clean water, it's the most important time of the year to look for that cleaner water if you have that colder, muddy water. So the clean water, that time of the year is when you definitely want to look for the cleaner water. If it's any other time of the year where it's warmer water, muddier water, just get tight to the bank. That's where the fish are going to be. On the breakdown, he talks about, what he considers warm, muddy water. Anything basically from 50 all the way to summertime temps of 85 degrees. Anything from 50 to 35 degrees is colder water. Now, besides just a crankbait, we have a chatterbait. Obviously, a chatterbait we just talked about it, works extremely well for cold water and muddy water. But besides that, I would say the number one, once it gets a little bit colder, it drops down below that 50. That's where your spinnerbait's going to come in. And that's what he talks about a lot. And he always kept talking about 3/4 to a 1 ounce spinnerbait, because the heavier spinnerbait allows him to get it out there, big Colorado blades, but really slow it down. And he talks about catches a lot of the bigger fish that way. Besides that, the one more thing you're going to deal with when it comes to a muddy water situation, it's going to be basically post-frontal conditions, where if you have a storm on Friday and you're fishing on Sunday, you're going to be the second day into the post-frontal. And that's where Jordan talks about throwing something big and bulky and really slowing down and fishing the heaviest, thickest cover you can possibly find on your body of water. And you'll more than likely pick up a lot of fish, just, a lot more than the rest of the guys will, whether it's 5 bites or 7 bites or 8 bites. That's where you're kind of, trying to key on. But the guys are overlooking because they're already kind of screwed up from muddy water. So that's where I got off of that seminar, guys.
Dude, that was a lot.
Outstanding.
Yeah, it was.
That was in depth, man. We had show and tell, baits, and the whole 9 yards.
So he gave that seminar in Gadsden last year in Alabama, and I was actually lucky enough to experience what he's talking about twice on Jordan Lake. The day before the show, I got to fish, and the chatterbait was the ticket. Up shallow, muddy water, fishing around docks.
Yep.
Fish were real tight to the docks, and then the day after, again on the Coosa River on Neely Henry, it was muddy water, but the water was high.
Yep.
Water was like 51, 52, and the fish were in that bank grass and just shallow, ready to eat.
Yep.
So it was a very, very cool experience because, up until then, if I saw that kind of muddy water and those temperatures, it's kind of like, it gets a little scary. But, those fish were up there, and they were up there for a reason, and they were biting.
Yeah, usually it seems like, too, like when you have that muddy water, man, and then fish just get in the bank, they're hungry.
Yeah.
They're ready to chew. So don't shy away from muddy water, and don't be scared of it, man. I mean, I think it's easier to win because, like I said, 3/4 of the lake is out the window. So everything is against the bank, so it's so much easier.
It was interesting. The Ben Milliken show that he did with Mike, they dealt with muddy water. And, they were fishing the Chesapeake. They found a pocket of clear water, just like you were talking about,
Yep.
and in that instance, it was cold, muddy water. They found a pocket of clear, and that's where they caught all their fish.
Yep, it holds true.
Yeah, we've seen it happen over and over all over the country, and we got a lesson in it from GDP, not only from there, but we're going to be seeing a seminar from you coming to Bass University about that scenario. That we filmed in the classroom and on the water. So that's going to be coming up in 2021. So that's why we targeted you to review Jordan's seminar.
Awesome.
GDP.
Thanks.
That was well done. Well done. But good deal. I'm going to keep moving up the list, Brian, unless you have another thing for me.
I just figured we would remind the people on Facebook, like and share. We have a pack of about $50 worth of Rapala baits sitting on the table here. I think there's a hat and a handful of crankbaits. So, yeah, guys over on Facebook, like it, share it. And at the end of the show, we're going to randomly pick somebody to win that. And
awesome.
Yeah. Let's roll on to number 5.
Yeah, so number 5 would be Gerald or Gerard. Is that how you said it? Gerald Swindle. And that's cold water cranking. BTC.
Yeah, well, here we're going to roll the clip.
Yeah, that's Gerard, by the way.
Gerard Swindle.
Pronunciation.
And here we go.
You don't need to be throwing a crankbait on super stiff rod. You're going to pull them off and lose them. I see guys do it. I don't like it. I like a glass rod, something real absorbent, something to let the fish pull back on you and kind of play them down. Don't overpower fish when you're cranking. Don't. I mean, I see guys set the hook cranking. They reeling that plug along. Whack! I'm like, good God, was he flipping? No, he's throwing lipless. The hooks are exposed. He's got it. Don't straighten them out. Just lean. Fat Joe had a song called Lean Back. Lean back. When you cranking, I need you to lean back. When you feel him bite it, lean back. If you cranking to the sideways, what we call side out, do yourself a favor. Point your rod straight at your line. Make your cast, point your bait. Straight, right here. Real, effortless. When he bites it, pull your body. Just twist your hips just a little bit.
Just twist your hips.
You don't need.
Just twist your hips, Pete.
It's everything. Everything's a soundbite from Gerald. He's so fun, so entertaining to listen to, man.
Yeah. So it's it's about 50% entertainment and 50% learning something.
Yep.
Or maybe 80-20. I don't. 80-20. Yeah, it's probably about 80-20. 80-20 with Gerald. A lot of what I feel like is pretty standard crankbait stuff, like he talked about right there. Just leaning on them. A glass rod. That's how he rolls. The things that I picked up on from Gerald's cold water cranking, specific to cold water, and hit me right in the wheelhouse was shad wraps, and that kind of surprised me. To hear that it's as big a bait or as popular a bait all around the country as it is up here for us. One thing that I never really thought about was he throws it on mono because a shad wrap has a tendency to get hung up, right? It doesn't necessarily have as good of deflecting characteristics because it's a tight wobble, so it gets hung up a lot more. He throws it on mono because he can free it a lot better with mono. When you go to snap it, you go to pop that bait, mono's got a whole lot more pop to it. So, in his eyes, he only throws mono, a short leader of mono for some topwater baits and a cold water shad wrap, and that's it. Everything else is, so that's, mono's real key for him right there. But 49 degrees and below, it's a shad wrap, lower 50s into the upper 40s. He's throwing a DT6. That's mostly what, how he goes about it. Don't overthrow your shad wrap. A shad wrap is a really light balsa bait, has a tendency to helicopter. You wind up with that thing and try to whip it, so it's just kind of, it's more like nice smooth cast. You want that bait to be straight when you're throwing it, more like, like a motion like a fly rod. So he kind of goes into about that, and also and this was really interesting too. When you're fishing cold water, what do the fish look like in cold water? They're always washed out, right? Really, really cold water, they're white. Yeah. They're pale, they're white. Mm-hmm. Everything's real white and pale and washed out, and that's what he wants his baits to look like. So he takes some shad wraps, some brand new shad wraps, little buffing pad, sanding pad, like little drywall sanding pad, takes them and knocks the shine off them, knocks the clear coat off them, knocks the bright finish off them. And because he wants them dull, he wants, and that made a lot of sense to me too.
Shad wrap getting mentioned twice in the top 10.
Yeah, and we ain't over yet.
No, we're not over yet. That's crazy.
That is crazy.
I mean, the shad wrap has been around. It's one of the most successful crankbaits out there. It's been 20, 30, 40 years. I don't know, but it's been around forever.
Yep. And another thing he talked about, using the crankbait in cold water situations as a locating tool. When you're in cold water, you're talking 49 and below, they really start to congregate, right? So you find them with a crankbait, you get a couple bites, on a rock, on a boulder, off of a point, and you get 2 bites. Instead of running around and looking to duplicate that, stay on that and throw your jig back at it or throw some other baits back at it, because really good likelihood that there's a lot more fish right there. And he'll use a crankbait as a cover, a search tool, a find bait in those cold water situations. Mm-hmm. You get bit on a bank, on a riprap or whatever, don't go running around.
Yep.
If they're there's more there.
That's Gerald, man, in a nutshell, and it's so between the ears with him on the strategy behind where and how he fishes. And it's so awesome. I know you guys, well, you've definitely seen it, JK, when when the class opens up for break from Gerald's seminar, everybody comes out rolling, laughing, holding their sides as they hit the restroom break, coming out of his class. But I think that's what makes him such a powerful teacher, is because he engages the audience so well that you don't even realize that what he's teaching you is getting in there, That's a gift from him.
I didn't understand half the words he was saying. And I bet you half of them weren't even words, but it's still funny.
Sounds.
Yeah, it's just, he was
G-Man.
believing in himself, so he had me. I was convinced whatever he said was a word. It's my job to figure it out.
Yep, that's cool. Well, you did great, good assessment, BTC.
Yeah.
Cold water cranking, Gerald Swindle coming in at number 5. He's always in the top 10, always there. And I want to move on to the next seminar, number 4, because I watched this because I had to watch it because it's in, like, I just was drawn to it. I got to watch what other people think about this topic, and it was a great one. It's number 4, GDP. What do we have?
Yeah, so number 4 we have John Cruz, and it's driving a bass boat like you stole it. So
no, that's my notes.
JK.
No,
That's actually not the name of it.
I don't know what it is though. That's all I got.
I get my final approval, Pete.
That slipped through the approval process.
Sorry about that.
Sorry. What the actual seminar is how to drive a bass boat.
Same thing.
Safely and efficiently, right?
Yeah.
Safely and efficiently, like we stole it.
And so the water's going to be just dispersing against the back of your transom. It's not going to be. That's not a very efficient situation. And so what happens is when you go to when you go to turn, you turn that motor to the left. It's still pushing up against the back of your boat, and then the propulsion is bouncing off. So yeah, it will move your boat to the back, that direction if you're trying to move to the right and back. But it's not near as efficient as if you trim that motor on up about halfway trimmed up, so that when you hit that propulsion, the water is going to be blowing under your boat. Especially when you go to turn, you turn, and that water is going to be blowing off to one side or the other. You trim that thing up, man. Your boat can really do some stuff, and you could turn it back the other way. Your whole boat will you can just make the boat do all kind of different stuff that you didn't even know it could do with it keeping trimmed under.
So the main thing I learned that I can put anything in the notes and Greg will read it.
You said read this top 10 list. I gotta watch the next ones now.
I know that's a dangerous thing because he will.
Don't worry, I'm patient, dude. Might be 6 months, but I'll sneak on you again.
JK, you're a brand new boat owner.
Yeah.
2020. And I thought this would be a great topic for you to talk about, John Cruz's seminar. What do you got?
Oh, yeah, no doubt. This is one of the liberties that I took with my job, knowing that I was a brand new boat owner and knowing that how green I was with this kind of power, getting into a Bass Cat Cougar with a Yamaha 250, man. I was driving a 19-foot Dynatrac with a 150 Merc that went 50 miles an hour for 10 years. So new year for me. And I definitely talked with John about this and we kind of kicked back ideas. He did 4 seminars for us last year. He came up with that idea and I was like, oh man, yeah, I want this. I want it for me. And so, yeah, we did it and it turned out to be a really, really popular seminar. And the crazy thing about this seminar is that it was just released and it was our number 4 video of the year. Right. So thankfully, everybody who's out there watching it, thankfully they're watching it because that's what it was intended for. We look out on our public bodies of water. There's a lot of guys in bass boats that make us feel uncomfortable at times, and they need to watch John's seminar for sure. But, he gave me a shout out in the video in the seminar at some point and said, JK, I hope you're in the room. You need to hear this. And he started going down the list for like the basic fundamentalists. And he gets more advanced through this seminar where some of it's still Chinese to me. But he said something so simple where I'm like, man, a lot of people probably need to hear that. But he said, do not go full throttle unless you 100% positive know where you're going and you've been that route before. 100%.
Are you listening, Ike?
Write that down.
I don't
See, I'm standing here next to Brian, and the first time we fished a tournament together, and he took me into some backwater, he said, "Go full throttle because we don't know how shallow it is." So his motto was go fast, stay up high, and get over. And he was actually right in that situation. But
Yeah, well, I knew exactly where we needed to be.
3 lower units later, here I am.
I had nothing to do with them, but
Yeah.
appreciate you trusting me on that.
You know, John started driving a boat at an early age. His dad was a professional boat racer.
What?
And he, you know, he's a guy that, you know, has just been, he's passionate about safety. You know, I've seen people rip, you know, he's ripped people a new one for not having their PDF on. He's very passionate about that, and I really respect him for his outspoken nature on a lot of the boating safety subjects out there. And, man, I've watched this seminar 3 times, and I'll probably watch it 3 more times, you know, before tournament season really kicks up.
You mean the PFD? He was ripping for that.
Yeah. I saved the PDF like 3 hours.
I thought you said PBJ.
Yeah.
So you're going to watch it one time for Ike, Rich, and, well, I don't know who else, but.
Twice for Mike.
Twice for Mike. Once for Rich.
I'm telling, if you're a boat owner, if you're thinking, there's a lot of new people getting into fishing right now. This is a must watch. A lot of people are buying their first bass boats ever. They bought them this year in 2020.
Yep.
And more probably coming in 21. This is a must see from safety to how to operate at high speed.
Yep.
And how to operate in rough water.
And here's the thing, Pete. This seminar is not only about how to just operate your boat safely. He goes very into detail on how to get top end speed, how to maximize your trim positioning so that you can get everything out of that boat that it's supposed to do, you know, because let's face it, when you're fishing a place like the Tennessee River or something, or even the flats in our case, and, you know, it's known where the fish are, but the spot on the spot, first guy gets there, gets on the fish, you know, he goes into detail how to get that extra 1, 2, 3 miles per hour out of your boat. So it's all around. It's a really, really good seminar, and it's kind of the first of its kind in our Bass U collection, and it did really well. So I'm excited to see what it might bring for the future, what other kind of areas we'll expand into.
I can tell you what it's going to bring, Rich, and is we're going to be doing some on water stuff that you're going to see, you know, actual how to manage the big giant waves, how to get them the maximize your speed safely and do all that stuff. We're going to take that classroom seminar right out to the water.
Gerald Spores, how to jump a earth dam.
No.
I saw that.
Well, we kind of did that with John Cox. He jumped over a sandbar.
Yeah, sure did.
Yep.
It was like we were setting it up. I asked him, and I thought he would say no immediately, because I'm like, John, do you think, you know, you do all this all the time? Would you jump a sandbar for us? And he's like, yeah, no problem. Where do you want to go? And I took him to a sandbar, and I'm like, there's no way he's going to do it. And he was disappointed that the sandbar was still submerged. It had 2 inches of water on it. And he was like, no, well, I'll jump it when it's a foot out of the water, 2 foot out of the water. That's really impressive. He goes, I'll jump this one for you, but because that's the only one we had, you know, where we were at. He ran right over that thing like it wasn't there.
That's awesome.
That's great.
Like he knew what he was doing, you know. But great seminar from John Cruz. Amazing. JC making it into the top 10. Not surprised at that, but
how about it? Shout out Johnny Cruz.
Yeah. Shout out John, and great finish at number 4. And we're going to move on to number 3, who is another real big hitter in the world of fishing. Is why he's with us, and one of our best instructors, GDP. Who do we have at number 3?
Hold on, let me proofread it. Number 3 is Bryan Thrift, and it's Jig Fishing Tricks.
Jig Fishing Tricks with Bryan Thrift. The Riz is queuing us up right here. And
I base this on the trailer I'm using also. This is one thing that I'm very adamant about, especially if I'm using a trailer with a lot of action, like I've got a Demiki Knockout here, and it's got 2 flappy claws on the end that really swim good. I want that skirt material to be away from the claws because I don't want to inhibit any action on that claws. If you think about this jig falling through the water, I'm going to thread it up on here and we'll show you. If you think about it, if that jig, if the skirt is hanging down over top of those claws, it's going to slow that down and not let it swim as freely. So if I'm using a trailer like the Knockout or a Zoom Speed Crawl or something, anything, a Rage Crawl that's going to kick and swim on the fall, I want my skirt material to stop before it gets to the legs. So those legs are free to swim, uninhibited.
Bryan Thrift, arguably the #1 angler in the world for the last 5 years.
You know what really gets me with Thrift is his seminars are so darn good, and he's not giving it all up. And we I think we get more out of these guys than anybody. I know we do because
for sure
you write checks and we do. We get the best, and Thrifty's stuff might be the best. His seminars are, as far as things you can pick up and learn, and Pete, you've been on the shoots. He's still holding a few things in there, probably a lot more than we know. That dude, that dude's on another planet.
He is,
Really
and
is.
he when you're standing in front of 200 people at a Bass University class, there's something about it that you just feel obligated and to give them your best and give the goods, and our guys do. And Bryan definitely does that, and I know guys, and he's becoming a real pro, and he's recognizing that you got to give the goods, and he's really doing it, and it's just been amazing both on the water, and we've got a lot of on the water stuff with him this year, and except had 360. All the advanced sonar stuff, just incredible. And of course, his classroom stuff is amazing. And I know you watched this one, GDP. What'd you think of this seminar?
Yeah, I thought it was really good. There was one thing in particular that I picked up. We'll get into. Bryan, or Riz, take these 3 jigs because the reason why the orange and brown one, I don't think a lot of people that are new to fishing kind of know the difference in a jig. So I brought 3 different ones. Basically, Bryan goes into the 3 different types of jigs. His favorite being an Arky style, which just probably fell to the floor. Oh, there it is. So that's the Arky style. Basically, the Arky style has kind of a different kind of shaped head. Basically, from there he goes into a swim jig, and then he goes into a football jig. So here's the swim jig style, pointing your head. You guys can see that go through cover better.
Oh yeah. And
then from there he goes into a football jig. These are the 3 jigs he talks about. From there, I'm just going to do a breakdown again. So 3 types of jigs: Arky, swim bait, football. From there, jig colors. He keeps it really simple, and he kept saying, keep it simple. It's either dirty water or clean water. And there's three colors he throws: green, pumpkin, black, blue, or white. They're the 3 colors. Skirt type, rubber, silicone, and then the skirt length. The skirt length is what we just heard him talking about on that little tiny clip we just heard. And he does one add-on, and that's rattles for noise. And just to jump into the noise, he mainly does his rattles a lot of times, not so much for dirty water, but more or less for the spawn. He puts the jig down there and just shakes it for noise and tries to agitate them. Pretty cool thing there. He always starts off every time, generally with a 1/2 ounce jig on 20-pound test to start. So this is a cool little thing too, and this is something he always does. So all his Arky style jigs, every one he's ever thrown, he said he puts a red dot on the head with nail polish. Every one. Just for a target, I guess, for the bass to see.
Really?
Yep, every one he said. Besides that...
No, BTC, he doesn't give up any juice.
Oh, no, he does.
That's juicy.
But there's juice. He's got juice for years, man.
Yeah.
he gives it up, but there's a lot. This guy's got a lot.
Yeah, and kind of like he just said, skirt length is more or less based on trailer size. So if, like he said, if his crawl style is kind of like being overhung by the skirt, he cuts it up so the claws have full access to swing. Besides that, Bryan or Riz, take these 2 jigs. I brought 2 for an example. So these aren't Arky style, but what he does with his skirt right here, one of the skirts is actually cut out from underneath, and it makes the jig profile a lot smaller. And a lot of times he's doing it. Can you guys see the difference there? One's a lot thicker, one's a lot thinner looking. Yeah, you can see it.
Yeah.
The reason he does that is because, I mean, Bryan Thrift is basically also known as a tremendous dock fisherman. And he talks about the vertical fall when he's flipping or he's casting a jig underneath a dock. The one that has the skirt cut from underneath, so he takes the jig, turns it upside down, cuts all the bottom skirt off just below the rubber band, and leaves just the top on, because when he throws against the dock piling, he said, if you've got a full skirt with 20-pound test, a lot of times it's going to pendulum that jig from it because there's so much extra bulk that's there. So by cutting away the skirt, it allows that jig to fall a lot more vertical and straight down to the piling. That's a pretty cool little tip.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty juicy too.
Yeah, it is.
Besides that, you can see on that one Arky style, there's a rubber skirt. It's a kind of a giant, big, bulky. It's orange and brown. Giant, big, bulky jig. And he said he mainly throws the rubber skirt 9 times out of 10 during pre-spawn, spawn to post-spawn. That's because, number one, it's a giant presence and he's looking for bigger fish. But besides that, that style skirt allows the jig to fall a lot slower. So if it's falling into a bed, he said he gets a lot more bites that way. He actually has one thing that he doesn't want to say he invented it himself, but he started doing a long time ago and never saw anywhere else. I don't have an example. But he takes a shaky head, and he just takes a shaky head with a keeper on it, and then he puts up some kind of crawl style bait just to make a very finesse small crawl style for dock fishing. Besides that, so for the swim jig, here's one more swim jig, Riz. Compare that to the other swim jig. Compare that to the other swim jig. The other. So Brian makes fun of me all the time about udder. So you can see on the swim jig here, the line tie on the jig on the left of Riz's hand sticks out a lot more, and the one on the right is a lot deeper into the actual head. He prefers the one that is deeper into the head because going through vegetation, it will go through so much better, even though it's a small difference. It won't get hung up, he said. So besides that, so swim jigs, how does he determine his actual weight? He said there's 3 weights he chooses: quarter, 3/8, or half ounce. Reason being because no matter what the size is, he always tries to tend to have the same retrieve. So if he can keep that quarter ounce just above the grass, that's one he's choosing. Vice versa, if it's a little bit deeper, it goes to the 3/8, but he always wants the same retrieve, and he kept talking about that. And he also said, besides just a rattle for the actual bed fishing, all of his swim jigs all have rattles on it because the swim jig's so quiet. He said it's really good for making a presentation with something subtle. Let's see what else. And one more little tiny variation he does with the skirt also. High pressure situations. He talked about fishing the Bassmaster Opens when he fished them. In bigger caliber tournaments, that's when he really trims down his skirt actually above the hook bend. So most of us guys, when we get a jig, what we're going to do is, we'll trim it right to the bottom of the hook right here. He was trimming his above the hook just to make the presentation smaller. Besides that, Brian, I gave you a small football jig there.
Oh, I just gave it back.
Yeah, it's in that pile somewhere.
Bring it back, Rich.
So that small football jig has a straight tail worm on it.
Mm-hmm.
And the reason he does that, he said most of the time he's throwing these smaller football jigs because he's smallmouth fishing, and he thinks that that's a perfect example of a goby. That's why he does it that way.
Of a goby?
Yeah, and a goby. And I want to add one more thing that I do when it comes to football jig fishing, and probably a lot of guys maybe don't do this. So here's a bigger profile football jig. If you can look at that jig, I actually take my hook and I bend it up. Bend it out, because when you're throwing a football jig, you're not really setting your hook, you're sweeping into them. So with that hook being bent out towards the weed guard, it actually allows it to stick the top of the head of the fish a lot better.
Let me ask you a question with that, Greg. Can I see that? So the process of that.
Yep.
Needle nose pliers.
Yep.
Hold on, let me go. Cam. And do you just put the pliers in there and just squeeze, or do you bend?
You can do it either way.
Because I used to do that back in the day, where you just put the needle nose in there and squeeze, and it'll widen the gap.
Yeah.
It might flatten this a little bit, but it'll widen the gap of that hook.
Yeah, I think a lot of that comes down to too, like if you have a smaller pair of needle nose, you got to bend it physically versus what you're saying with, with a bigger one. But
yeah, you just get in there and just squeeze it like that, and it'll naturally just open.
Yeah, you want to get it to be up a little bit. Trust me, because when you're sweeping into that fish on a swim jig, it's just going to go right in the top of their head. It's not going to come out of the mouth.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, dude, you're throwing a football usually on rock.
Yeah.
So you're not really worrying about trees or none of that.
Yep.
So you want your weed guard kind of thin and
ready to eat.
Yeah. Yep. You want that hook all the way out there.
No doubt. So that's pretty much what I got, guys, for jig fishing tricks from Bryan Thrift.
Greg.
Yeah, I got to give a BASSKY award out here real quick to GDP. I mean, the note taking on his synopsis of all these seminars, the ones that he's doing is like, I'm almost like having to stop him. Like, dude, they got to pay for this stuff. Like,
yeah, right. Well, listen.
But hey, he's coming from his notes. He's an Elite Series pro, and he's not the only pro who's sat in our class and taken these kinds of notes. So I got to give props, man. It's great stuff.
Thank you. But, dude, I got to say it. I'm not just saying this. Like, all these Bass University seminars we're going through, if you're serious about trying to be a better fisherman, dude, like, this is the holy grail. This is real. Like, these guys are giving up. You know, Brian still thinks there's some more stuff out there, and maybe there is, but, dude, if you're willing to listen, you can pick up, like, I just picked up on one seminar. I mean, I sat there for an hour and listened to it all, and this is, I would stop it and go and just write down as they're saying, because it's real stuff. So, yeah, it's top-notch, man.
It is top notch, and let me just clarify what I meant. I meant like, no, he gives it up. No, not backpedaling. I just think you guys misunderstood. He gives it up 100%, but I think but there's still more. Like that's what's amazing about Bryan Thrift. I was just trying to say, like, that dude's there's no end to the depth of his knowledge.
Yeah, you're right.
I mean, that's it's ridiculous. He's really is. I mean, he's given us the juice. So
it's fun to listen to BTC backpedaling like he stole it.
No, you guys just have terrible ability to understand.
We don't know.
Terrible ability to understand.
That's true.
Yeah,
true enough. But we do understand. Brian is one of our best instructors. Came in at number 3. Amazing seminar, and we have number 2 coming up, and it's not surprising who this guy is, but I'll let you spill the beans.
Yeah, so number 2 is Gerald Swindle. Keys to tournament junk fishing, and JK is going to be the one for this one.
Two appearances on our top 10. Gerald
You ain't got to
Swindle.
be on nothing to get paid. Y'all believe that? You just got to have the right mindset. Baits I believe in, silly stuff right here. This is a one and only, boys. This is a Zoom Magnum Finesse. Boy, that's original, ain't it? Let me guess what color it is. Green pumpkin. From China to the moon, I'm going to throw green pumpkin. If it's got some flake in it, that's usually because I couldn't find the ones that just had green pumpkin. I don't care. I'm going to throw that. That's a 3/16 weight, 3/0 hook. It's a 7/6 arc rod. That's 18-pound sunline, 7.5 to 1 reel. Take it anywhere I go. You know why? Because when I pick this bait up and I go to fishing it, in my heart, I believe if there's a bass in this vicinity, I'm going to catch him. Okay, I'm not trying to catch 40, because it's evident at 1 o'clock I got 2, I just need 1. See, my perspective is different. I'm not pulling up going, I need to pull in right here and wreck them. No, you need to wreck that 12-incher. Then you need to wreck that 12-incher till you get to 5, and then we'll go from there. You ain't got to be on.
There we go.
Awesome.
Number 2, second appearance on this one, man. What a deal. Got a lot of nuggets in there as usual, JK.
Yeah, it's fun to get to this point. You know, Gerald's been with us a lot of years, and he's been known for junk fishing. You know, we've seen articles, we've seen interviews, we've seen him talk about it and claim it as his own, and we've seen this junk fishing style out of Gerald. But man, he says a few things. He says, and this is the thing that makes people laugh all the time, but when you got to make chicken salad out of chicken crap, you know, and you got to turn them, you're on nothing, but you got to get paid, and you know the type of 5 bites that you need to get paid, and you got to go get them. I think one of the biggest things that he said that stuck out to me was when you're junk fishing, and a lot of times he's saying that I'm junk fishing when I'm on nothing, you know. So starting out with the baits, fish the baits you know, and put them all on the deck and just go. Cut out everything else. If you're in chatterbait land and you haven't made peace with a chatterbait, it's not tied on. You know, it's you've grown up with that worm and you've caught a ton of fish on that crankbait, and you can put that jig in places you can't put other baits. You know, he brings out a lot of the efficiency type stuff with that too. You know, it's almost like what your body knows is what he's saying. But yeah, that from the junk fishing standpoint, you know, I just love that part. That fish the baits, you know, put them all on the deck and go.
Well, he's amazing. His simplicity, and this is interesting because we talked about this earlier. You weren't here for some of this, Justin, but the guys were talking about committing to fishing. As we were talking about our goals for 2021, and it was Riz and GDP both had a very similar statement that they're going to fish. They're going to leave it wide open, and Swindle says you got to fish like nobody's looking. You got to be the guy. You got to be the guy out there fishing with the guy, or that's the guy you need to be scared of. The guy that's going out there fishing without the GoPros running. The guy that's going out, you know, fishing to just constantly develop the skill set. And you know, he talks about how, you know, in 2016 he sold his house, moved into just committed to fishing, and that's what he was going to do for a year, and just absolutely changed his game. He fished every single day, every single minute, and it's so much of that is between the ears with Gerald, and I love how he thinks. It relates a lot back to his high school football days, and the things he learned from his coaching there, and yeah, it's just fun to listen to, and obviously resonates with so many people. It's pretty awesome. Coming in at number two Bass U seminar of the year. So what does he got? He's number 2 and he's number 5. Yeah. That's pretty good.
Pretty stout.
Yeah, pretty stout, pretty good stuff. And we're up to number 1 now, guys. Brian, or do you want to try to get number 1 on, or what are we doing?
We're working on that, but while we're working on that, we're going to bring in Drew. We got Drew here, a subscriber in the waiting room.
Awesome.
And let's see how this goes.
All right. We're having fun with Zoom at the Bass University.
Drew, squared up.
Yes, sir. This guy looks familiar.
Is that the Vegas the Hammer hat?
Looks like the Vegas the Hammer hat.
It does.
This guy looks really familiar.
Drew,
can you hear us?
Drew.
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah. We got you. We got you, buddy.
All right. Riz, did you say I look familiar?
Yeah.
I talked with you for about half an hour at the Classic Expo this year.
I thought so, man.
Awesome.
I thought so. Did you sign up for Bass U with me?
I did not. I've been a subscriber for about 3 years now.
Okay.
But
all right.
one of my buddies did, I think.
And signed up.
Yeah, Mike Reed got him 3 years ago. Yeah.
Hey, well,
yeah. It's good to see you, man. I knew I recognized you from somewhere. I assumed it was the Classic, and it's awesome to see you on here.
Just a second,
Oh, we lost Drew.
All right, there we go.
Drew, there you go.
All right, so I had a question for GDP.
Yo.
Our Carhartt College Bass schedule just got dropped, and we got 3 mountain lakes in a row, March, April, and the end of April. I'm used to Tennessee River lakes and smallmouth lakes, so I don't know how to attack a mountain fishery. Not do it well, anyways.
Yeah, so where are the tournaments at? Do you know offhand?
Lake Norman, Smith Lake, and Cumberland.
Okay, so I've been to Norman. My mountain lake experience is very small, but I have been to Norman. I can tell you, when are you on Norman?
March 4th and 5th.
March. It should be really good, actually. I do know from what I do know about Norman, it's very patternable. It's very easy with the spotted bass. Do know there's some largemouth in there, a little bit hard to get. That time of year it should be pretty good, though. Man, for me in March on that body of water, dude, I would probably run shallow mostly for the most part. That'd be the easiest way to do it. But like I said, my mountain experience, honestly, this might be a better question for Pete.
No, this is a question for Justin.
All right, I'll take Pete's input on it too.
I don't want to steer you wrong. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
Well, anybody.
I'll tell you. I want Justin to weigh in because he's fished. He just fished Cumberland too, so it'll be interesting. But I know the Wiggins brothers just talked in detail. You got to go back and listen to the live show when they were on. They talked a little bit about fishing Smith Lake and Jesse. We have them talking about cranking and throwing a shaky head, and that's what they make a lot of money doing that in a small swim bait on Smith Lake. And it is a mountainous lake. It's deep. It's got the spots get super deep down there. And but there's a lot of good information on Bass U from the Wiggins brothers. And Cumberland, when are you going to be at Cumberland?
The end of April. And I've watched Jesse Wiggins' shaky head and shallow cranking seminar.
Yeah.
On Smith, and that was a good one. But Cumberland I've been to twice and had decent finishes, but still, I mean, the lake's just difficult.
It is. It's got big smallmouth in it, and JK was just there in the fall. I've fished there in the fall, but in April you got to assume that that's going to be probably pre-spawn because of where it's located. Maybe the beginnings of the spawn. You're going to start seeing them smallmouth show up for the spawn, which I think are going to be a big deal. The largemouth too. It's all rock, it's all gravel, and it's huge. Lake Cumberland is just a really big body of water. I know I did well down at the lower end of the lake. JK, I'm going to pass it on to him. He did well on the upper end of the lake, but a lot of good stuff there. Go ahead, JK. What do you got?
Yeah, if I'm going to Cumberland, I can kind of have an idea about what the people are going to do in the spring. Pre-spawn. You're going to get a lot of traffic in the creeks, and rightly so. I would try to find a main lake deal, on those straight banks on the bluffs. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of fish that will spawn on the bluffs. They're going to live there all winter. And basically what you're doing on that, you're either looking at the bluffs or the transition banks that the bluffs turn into. So it's kind of like they're either there or they're there. And some days you might have them here, and the next day you got to go 200 yards down the bank. And I think in the spring it opens up the box of tricks a little bit for you. Your biggest deal on bluffs, I feel like, is figuring out what that water column they're feeding in. Like in the fall they were feeding up, and I think that's why a high finish was learning that really quick and catching them on a spinnerbait. But then they moved. And they got on the jig a little bit better. But now in the spring, I mean, you might be pitching a soft plastic because they're in a weird pre-spawn mode. But I would say, like Pete said about that little Kitech, that might win your tournament at Cumberland. You're just going to have to figure out how they want it. Up high, cups penduluming down on the rocks, slow rolling it. You'll just have to figure out how they want it. But that Kitech might win the Derby in April.
Stand in the back of the boat when you're doing what Justin says.
Hey, there's something really key that I recalled from my tournaments fishing for smallmouth at the southern impoundments, the Highland reservoirs. And I remember this was a tournament in Tennessee. The body of water escapes me right now. Might have been Tellico Loudon, but we were, but the deal was using big swim baits to pull the smallmouth up off the beds to locate them. And that was the deal because it didn't have quite the clarity where you could sight fish them. But with a bigger bait, you could pull them up. They would show themselves. And then once you knew where they were at, they're smallmouth and they're easy to catch. So that's a sneaky little deal. But then big smallmouth will be a factor for you at Cumberland. If you can figure those out, you'll be putting yourself in the winner's circle.
And if you get a lot of rain in the springtime, you've seen all those tournaments where those painted blade spinnerbaits have absolutely dominated in the creeks for largemouth when you get that fresh rain in.
And it's at the very end of April, beginning of May. Like it's April 30th, May 1st. So when you're talking a main lake deal, you're talking fish that are probably less the pre-spawn fish coming in, more the fish that are heading out post-spawn.
No, I'm talking about the ones that live out on the main lake and they spawn.
Oh, you're talking the ones that just stay out there all year.
They don't go into creeks. There's going to be a population like that. There'll be a population of smallmouth that'll do that. There'll be a population up the river for largemouth that'll do that. Because there's all kinds of little cuts, these tiny little pockets on bluffs and the transition banks where they'll get their spawn out of the way, you know.
And I have to agree with JK. I've seen those smallmouth do it, and although I don't have experience on Cumberland in the spawn, I've seen them at other places where they do. They'll spawn on bluffs, bluff ends. They'll spawn on points of pockets. A lot of times the largemouth will be inside, you know, but them smallies, they'll be out front, and like you said, the wind and stuff can hide them from you. But if you can figure out, you know, where they're located, be a good deal. Well, that's exciting, man. You guys are, what school are you going to?
Wabash Valley College. It's actually our first year competing. We competed this fall and cracked the top 20 in school of the year. But this spring, I think I'm going to be fishing 11 tournaments between FLW, Bass, and the Association of Collegiate Anglers tournament.
Where's Wabash?
It's in southern Illinois, so we're about 2 hours from Kentucky Lake. Okay. If you knew where Evansville, Indiana was, it's about 45 minutes northwest of there.
That's great. That's
Jeremiah,
cool.
You lives near there. That's Jeremiah. It's country. Hey, Drew, you want to hang out with us for a second? We have our #1 Bass University speaker sitting in the queue. He jumped in
absolutely.
Right after we brought you on. Why don't you hang out, and we're going to bring him in. Pete, we're going to do this one a little different. So
talk to me.
Absolutely.
You mean announce it first or no?
Well, yeah, let's see. Yeah.
The #1 basket.
Drum roll, please.
Drum roll, please.
You ready?
Well, he's sideways.
Is he? I can't see him.
Hold on a second.
He's connecting the audio right now as we speak.
We're going to queue up the
from
video
this guy.
as our guest is.
So
there he is.
So #1 is ready.
Yep.
So #1 is Wesley Strader, and it is learn to fish spinnerbaits well.
Wes Strader on spinnerbaits. Spinnerbaits.
That was a great video.
What's up, Wes?
Hey, what's up? I don't know if my screen's the way it should be or not, so somebody's going to have to fix me up here. I don't know.
Yeah, you got to unlock your screen rotation is locked on your phone. Swipe down from the top right-hand corner, and it'll and you can unlock it. Oh. We're coming back.
Yeah.
There it is. Yes, sir.
Yeah.
There you go. Got it now.
The champ, the #1 seminar of the year, man.
Wow.
Good to have you with us.
Yes, sir.
What's up, Wes?
I couldn't believe it. When we were filming that seminar, it was like 20 degrees out. Your hands were frozen. I had my parka on. You had nothing but a tournament jersey. And that turned out to be the best one of the year.
Yeah, you was trying to get me hypothermia. I know what you're trying to do. That's what you're trying to do.
Well, it did great, man. It just blew off the charts from both the people at BASSKY TV and on YouTube as well. And I thought we're gonna play a little clip of it here in just a minute. But you had some good, amazing building spinnerbait techniques, and it was comprehensive. I think that's why people liked it so much. You talked about everything.
Well, I'm a cesspool of useless knowledge at times.
Do you want to show a quick clip of this seminar?
We can do that.
Yeah, let's show the clip.
Give me
then
a hot second to.
I might learn something.
You forgot what you said already, I'm sure.
Never forget that.
And give us 1 second. Greg, drumroll.
I'm going to cast around the cover, and I got to discern during the course of the day whether I need to reel it fast or I need to reel it slow, what blade combination I need to come up with. Like here in this cove, it's a little bit cleaner than I'd like for the blade combination I got, but I'm just going to go through the motions of what I like to do. I like to get as close to the target as I can, and I'm going to buzz it. I'm going to buzz it like if the water's 3 feet or shallower, I'm going to buzz that spinnerbait. I'm going to keep it up high. I'm going to keep it higher in the water column where I can see it. And sometimes when I come by a post, I'm gonna twitch it to try to get a reaction strike out of it. What that does is when I twitch that spinnerbait, those blades are gonna clank together and it's gonna make a noise. It's gonna give flashing noise at the same time. So if you got a fish that's reluctant to bite or it doesn't want to bite, it's gonna kind of try to just bite out of instinct, out of reflex. So I'm gonna cast.
And there it was.
And there it was. Do you remember that seminar, Wesley?
I remember every word of it. We was in Oklahoma.
Well, we were learning about spinnerbaits, and it was cold. And here's my favorite part of this, because our number 2 guy was Gerald Swindle. I don't know if you were listening earlier, but he got the number 2 seminar of the year. And in your seminar, you stole a tip from Gerald Swindle in your spinnerbait seminar. I think that might have been the thing that put you over the top.
Well, I gave him credit for it too. Anytime you're using that light wire like that, you got to come up with something to keep it from. I mean, you can catch them, but eventually it's going to break. So you got to come up. Gerald just like I've been using zip ties and bread ties, and he goes, "Hey, all you got to do is put a split ring on our number 1 split ring, and that'll fix that." So Gerald's the one that came up with it. I just passed it along.
Well, that was great. I just love that you stole it from him, because I give people bonus points for doing that kind of stuff. And but for those of you that didn't watch or see that seminar, got to go back. Wesley. He builds a spinnerbait for us. He repairs a spinnerbait. But in this particular instance, you're talking about the R bend of the spinnerbait. I got one right here. And you're putting. Do you have a size? Have you settled on a size of split ring that you put here?
It's a number 1. It's an Eagle Claw number 1 split ring. That's what fits the Bango blade the best, because it's 30. It's actually 32 thousandths wire. But and when you go up and the wire size goes up, you have to go up. You have to go to a number 2, because the wire gets thicker. So the diameter of your split ring has to be a little bigger to get it over it.
Gotcha.
So a number 1 or number 2 depends on what size wire you have.
Well, and it goes right here, guys, and it protects. It just makes it a more stable spinnerbait, so you can get more hours with it. And
yeah, you can catch a lot more fish with it, because what it does is usually when your blade breaks, it's always when you got that big one on or something like that. But after you bend that out, that's where it usually bends at, right there in that R, the bend of the R. And after you bend that out about 7 or 8 times, it gets weak, just like a piece of wire. If you work it back and forth, it'll eventually break. But what that does, it takes out that bend right there, and it never bends there again. So you increase the longevity of that bait, tenfold.
It's my favorite thing when your spinnerbait breaks and you come back with the blade arm.
Yeah.
It happens. It can happen.
Not my favorite thing, Pete. That's the worst thing. It's not my favorite thing. That's horrible.
That's so much fun when that happens. That's why that tip is such a good one, But now
that's usually dinero out the window when that happens.
Well, you do something else that I thought was incredible, and I'd never seen that done before. Where, you keep. And I want you to talk about your spinnerbait kit, because it's perfect. It's what everybody needs. But when you're rebuilding a spinnerbait, you show us a quick tip on when this breaks and you got to transfer all this junk onto a new spinnerbait. You show us how to do that.
Yeah. You just take a pair of parrot nose pliers and cut it off right below that R bend, and lay your other spinnerbait beside it, and you just slide it all. You slide it all onto the new spinnerbait, and then you just unroll your swivel, and then roll you another bend in it and put it on. It takes way less time than building a whole new one.
Yeah. I watched you do it, and I'm like, well, I need 3 hands and stronger glasses to be able to figure out how to do that. But you did it so quick; it was impressive, But I don't know if you knew this. You're the second spinnerbait seminar that showed up on our top 10 list. You know, the spinnerbait was dead, right? The chatterbait killed it. And this year, it's what's going on, man? The spinnerbait is like alive again, you know?
You know, I just think it's something that people's got away from throwing it, and it's just something that they don't see as much anymore. So, you know, spinnerbaits always caught them. It's just everybody's like the chatterbait craze was here, and which I still catch a lot on a bladed jig or a chatterbait, but there's just times when a spinnerbait just outperforms a chatterbait. I mean, you can wind it through cover, you can make the blades flash. You can't do that with a chatterbait. It's just pretty much you reel it, stop it. But a spinnerbait, you can dance it, you can twitch it. There's all kinds of things you can do with it. You can change trailers on it. You know, there's just a lot of different things. Plus, with a chatterbait, if you tie another one on, you got to tie one on with a different colored skirt, because the skirts are the ones I use are tied on. So with a spinnerbait, you can just pull a skirt off, put another skirt on, switch the blade combinations out. You can't do that. You can't do that with a chatterbait.
Plus, it's $18 a pop when you're throwing a chatterbait.
Yeah. Those get a little bit expensive when you lose those, you know.
No question. And, you know, it's funny because we talk about the chatterbait a lot because we fish in a lot of different ways, but you fish a spinnerbait a ton of different ways. But it was interesting because we were talking about it, and you were explaining about how you use it to catch spawning fish sometimes. And I was, you know, like, I've not done that. You know, I never go to a spinnerbait for spawning fish, and you go into the back of the pocket we're in and proceed to catch a handful of spawning largemouth on a spinnerbait.
You know, that don't happen a whole lot, but there's times when, you know, they get in that mood where they're defending the bed, and they'll defend it on anything. So it's not always, but there's times when you can catch them like that. I got a quick story. One time I was fishing a tournament with a buddy of mine. He's passed away now, and we was on a lake called Parksville Lake. It used to be like the worst lake on the system at the house, and if you caught like 12 pounds, you had a sack full. That was a big sack. So he always put on a Relay for Life tournament there himself, and he'd draw, you know, 30, 40, 50 boats. And we come along this largemouth that's on the bed, the biggest one I ever seen on the lake. It weighed 5'7". I threw everything I had in the book at that largemouth, and I could not get it to bite. Nothing. Finally, I picked the spinnerbait up and said, "Well, I'm just going to try it." And I threw it over and started crawling it on the bottom, and then I just ripped it past her while she's on the bed, and she just run out and ate it. And I caught it, and we won the tournament. I'm like, well, never done that before, but it
worked. Well, we seen it work too off of those stumps in the back of the chick. It was pretty cool, and it was memorable, right? Because we also, for those of you that haven't seen it yet, I want to invite you guys to go check the bucket list out. And we filmed it with Wesley, and it was awesome about the chick. It's one of the hottest lakes in the country. Of course, it's getting a lot of fishing pressure these days, but it's still putting out some monster bags. So check out the bucket list at Bass U. But I see Riz, you got some IM questions for Wesley?
Yeah, I do. Caleb from West Virginia wants to know from Wesley, what was the turning point in your career to get to where you are now?
The turning point in my career was 2002. I won an FLW. I won my first major tournament on Lake Ouachita in 2002. That was my third, 98. That was my fourth year on the tour, and that pretty much set me up to be able to well, there's a lot of things happening. It wasn't just that one event. I won $110,000. Then I went I come in third in a Bass Open at Pickwick. I won a pile of money that year, and it pretty much set me up for the rest of my, got the ball rolling the way it needed to go, where I was able to not have to work, have a second job and fish too. So it got me to where I could just fish.
That was that was a big moment. I remember I was fishing all around you at that time. Were you on the Snickers team at one point? What team?
No, I was on the Fuji Film team. That's
yeah.
Probably the, you look back at how things happened in your life and how people were put in your life, and you know that Fujifilm team, that all just kind of all happened together there, all in, you know, in 2000. Everything just it's just, you look back on it, you're like, wow, it's amazing that I had that kind of people in my life and was around the right people at the right time and all that.
And it's crazy because Fuji, you know, well, they're a film company. A lot of people watching this show, like Riz, you know, that are so young, they probably don't know what Fujifilm is.
Well, for them now, they make digital cameras now. They don't. They still do. I think they still do a lot of film. You know, like for like when they shoot movies and stuff, the movie reels. I think they still shoot film that way on movie reels.
Hey, my grandma would never leave the house without a disposable camera. All right?
Nice.
So I know what the Fujifilm is. All my earliest fishing pictures are on the disposable camera style printout. So we know that over here.
I've got three Fujifilm disposable cameras downstairs on my shelf, and I'm just waiting to go have them developed just to see what a surprise is. See what's going on.
Yeah, I had some of them. I think they got thrown out though. But yeah, Fuji's still got that mountain over in China too, so they're not dead yet. They're still here.
They're still with us. Well, it was an amazing run for you. But I want to, because we have Drew with us. He's fishing in college, and he asked us some questions, and I want to throw them to you, Wesley. He's going to Lake Cumberland and Smith Lake for his, you know, upcoming college tournaments.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of advice do you have for him on those bodies of water?
Cumberland and Smith, they're going to fish kind of similar. It's going to be a predominantly smallmouth, spotted bass dominated tournament. So, you know, it just depends on what time of year you're going there. But, you know, you can't go wrong with a topwater, a buzz bait, a spinner bait, and a shake. Yeah, that's all I say.
End of April.
End of April. Mm-hmm. That will be a
Cumberland.
Cumberland's at the end of April.
Yeah.
That will still be some spawning. There'll be some largemouth spawning. Still some smallmouth, probably garden fry. Still some of them spawning. It'll be a Wesley's. You throw Wesley's VW. It's a weight bait by Phil by PH Custom Lures. That will be good for the smallmouth. Plus, it'll show you some largemouth. But it'll probably predominantly sight. They'll be spawning. You may not see them, but that's what they'll be doing.
And we've got one at the very end of March at Chickamauga, a big FLW event too.
End of March, FLW. You can do just about anything you want to at the end of March. Will be spinnerbait, lipless, chatterbait, jerkbait. Jerkbait will be good. Swimbait's always good there. That's pretty much got it covered right there.
Are they going to be done spawning in March?
No, they won't even be started.
Ah, that's right. It's like the Florida strain thing, you know?
Yeah, well, there'll be a few. The lake don't start up till April the 16th. So depending on how warm it gets, you know, most of the time the fish wait till the water is full before they start spawning. There's just not enough places for them to spawn with the water down. And and this is what everybody's like, well, that's not right because, you know, when the water hits 70 degrees, the fish is going to spawn. But you take this, it's just like a salmon. If it's hatched in, let's say, June the 1st, when that salmon returns to spawn, it knows to spawn for its offspring to be raised, you know, hatched June the 1st or around June. So it's the same way when fish are conditioned to a certain time period to spawn with the water, the adequate water and the water temperature. If that's when they were hatched, then that's usually when they go back and spawn. You see what I'm saying?
Okay.
You pick up one I'm laying down.
And I have one more question. On your 2018 elite win at Kentucky Lake, is that kind of the turning point where every major event there was starting to be one shallow versus on the ledges that time of year, or?
It's just, I think, I don't know. I always fish shallow. I mean, I did fish deep on Kentucky Lake, but it just wasn't those carp, man. You just couldn't, what I mean? You couldn't see nothing with all those carp out there, and I just felt more comfortable fishing shallow because the water, when we first got there, the water was high. Like it was like 3 or 4 foot above summer pool. So, and then I wasn't even going to think about fishing deep, you know what I mean? Because it's just too high. So, that was probably, I think the FLW went there right after we were there and the water got back down. I think it was 1 deep. But after that, it kind of went downhill for about 2 years, the last 2 years.
And it's getting better, but it seems like more and more tournaments I see there. I fish there a lot, and smallmouth, you have to have almost half your bag or better smallmouth anymore.
Well, it used to be like it too a long time ago. Remember back in the day when early, especially in the spring, a lot of the guys would have a mixed bag, like 3 of them would be smallmouth, 2 of them would be largemouth, and it'll get back. It'll get back. It's just going through a cycle. I'm not going to blame everything on the carp. It's just going through a cycle. It'll get back. Everything goes through a cycle. It's just like, remember when the largemouth bass virus hit all those lakes, and especially like it goes in cycles. It'll work itself out.
I love that. I love that kind of conversation. Cycles are key. Every lake goes through it. You see your good times and your bad. Like we're seeing it up north, like those Gobi lakes, man, they're breaking records with 30-pound bags of smallmouth,
I mean, I've got my theory on Kentucky Lake, and I mean, I know a lot of people want to blame the carp, but I'm going to go ahead and point the finger at us fishermen for a little while. And you can't go there and do what we done for, 6, 7 years in a row, every tournament wanting to go there in May and June. That's not. I mean, that's what I love about Major League Fishing. We catch one, you let it go as soon as you catch it. So, I mean, it doesn't take a toll on the fishery. It helps sustain the fishery. And, I think a lot of those fish, I'm as guilty as anybody. I mean, you can use the best products, the best chemicals. But, dude, when you haul one around from June to the end of May to the end of June, 1st of July, it's not good on them. So, you can catch one in August and haul him around all day long. It don't bother him. But it's that stressed out period right after they get done spawning. It's really, I mean, you've caught one. I mean, I've caught them and put them in the live well. As soon as you put them in the live well, they're done. So, but we got the best aerators, the best chemicals you can put on. That helps, but it's rough on them.
Well, Kentucky Lake's received as much pressure as any lake in the entire country. I mean, it really has. It's so popular. Okeechobee's another one that comes to mind. I don't know how Okeechobee just gets so much fishing pressure, but keeps putting them out. And but I hear what you're saying. I know you're fishing Major League Fishing, right? What's coming up, man? What's your 2021 look like?
Oh, I'm fishing both the Bass Pro Tour and the Big 5 Pro Circuit. So I guess it used to be the FLW, now it's the Pro Circuit. So,
have you talked to Fuji? Have you talked to Fuji about coming back on board?
Well, I'd like to, but all the people I knew out there at that time are all gone now. So. My plate is full. I mean, it's full, and I'm going to try to put some more. I'm going to try to fish at least one division of those Toyota series, so I can get back to that championship. Man, that championship was something else. I mean, if you won that, dude, that was a big payday.
Man, it's like $250,000 almost.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
If you was it was more than that.
Whew.
What did you win, Wesley?
What's that?
I said, what did you win?
Won me 50. I got 2,000 from my place, but I got 50 grand from Ranger Cup. So
that's what. Wait a second. Explain this. Explain this. Because I was talking to JK about this because you finished. You didn't finish like to win the tournament, but you still walked away with 50 grand out of the Toyota Championship. did that happen?
It was a shocker to me. I was in the deer stand and Scott Arms had called me on a Friday and I was hunting and I didn't answer it. So I was back in the stand on Monday morning and the phone rings again. I'm like, man, this must be real important because he's called me twice and he never calls me twice if it's something important. So I answered the phone while I was in the tree stand and he said, hey, you could win 75 grand at Cumberland from Ranger Cup. He said 50 of it. The way he explained it, he said, we got a $25,000 bonus if you win the tournament. He said, but you being the highest place in Ranger Cup guy in your division, which I fished the Central Division. So I finished 4th, but I was the highest place in Ranger guy. So Ranger Cup. So he said, there's only 8 divisions. He said, so whoever finishes the best out of the 8 of you, the guys that are highest in your division, he said, you're going to win 50 grand from Ranger Cup. And I'm like, are you kidding me? I said, I need some good news in my life. I said, that's almost like a tournament within a tournament. I'm like, this is awesome. So, and what's ironic about it is after the first day, I was in like 33rd, and I think Troy Morrow was like 1 pound ahead of me, and he was the points leader in his division, the Southern Division. So I was like, oh my gosh. I said, man, I gotta catch some tomorrow. So we go out the second day and it's raining, mist and rain. It's 40 degrees. The water temperature is 55. And I'm like, I'm fixing to light them up on this spinnerbait because that's how I caught them the first time. I caught them on spinnerbait. So 2 hours goes by and I ain't had a bite, not one bite. And I'm like, holy crap, what's going on? So, I've been catching a few on the buzzbait. Kim will tell you I caught a few on the buzzbait in practice. So I picked my buzzbait up and threw it about 30 minutes. I caught almost a 3-pounder on the buzzbait. I'm like, well, okay, so that's good. So 40 minutes later, I catch like a 3 1/4 on the buzzbait. I said, all right, that's my sign. I'm throwing a buzzbait the rest of the day. Well, 3.5 hours later, I ain't even caught a bass. They ain't had another strike on. I'm like, oh my God. I said, then I got to catch a fish. Tomorrow's going to beat me. And so I run to the opposite side of the river and fish for like an hour, no bites. I'm like, that's it. I'm bloated. I've had a chance at 50 grand. Even though I can't win this tournament, I've blown a chance at 50 grand. So I turned around and looked at my co-angler. I said, you know what? I'm going to practice what I preach. I picked up a black neon flipping 3.75 tube from Zoom with a 5/16 ounce sinker and a Trokar TK190 hook. And the first flip, I caught a barely short non-keeper largemouth. The next flip, I caught a 16 1/4 inch smallmouth. And with 3 minutes to go, I caught a keeper spot. And that's how I won 50 grand. Woo! I beat Morrow by a pound. I think it was exactly a pound.
Oh my God! Oh, I hope he's not listening right now.
I do. I'm just kidding, Morrow. I'm just kidding.
Man, what a deal! I forgot. I'm sitting here listening to you talk, and I forgot that you and our own Justin Kimmel practiced and prepared for that tournament.
Yeah, he's a pretty good guy, but he's a lot to deal with. You know that he's a lot to handle, man. I'm telling you.
Here we go.
Well, tell me something I don't know. I
better not.
No, well, it's really cool. I know. He fished as a co-angler, and you guys got to practice together. That's really cool. And what a great story. It's amazing. 50 grand.
I might need to let him practice with me everywhere I go. I might need to pay his entry fees into tournaments or something, because every time he fishes with me, it seems like I do good. So he's
here's your sign.
It's not the first time I heard that story. True. JK has some kind of mojo going on. We can't quite figure it out. But
he almost won the co-angler side of that deal.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, came close. Came real close.
If you'd have caught a few more fish, JK, if you'd have caught a few more fish, you'd have won that deal, Mr. All-American winner.
I'm still fretting over that one, man. I mean, it wasn't even my last derby, but I'm still licking my wounds over a broke off 4-pound largemouth on day one that I saw, and then a 3 3/4 pound class, maybe 4-pound smallmouth that threw my jig back at me on day 2. And I caught one.
He Noah Ryan's is what he did.
He what?
He Noah Ryan you.
Yeah.
Noah Ryan.
Threw it right back at you.
I forgot Wesley's a baseball guy.
That's great.
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
That's awesome. Hey Wes, I
You
got a
got-
few questions off of Facebook here.
Okay.
William Clute wants to know what type of line you throw with your spinnerbait.
Most of the time I use 16-pound sunline shooter. Sometimes I'll use sniper. It just depends on what I'm around, but I never go above 20. Sometimes I'll even drop down to 14, but never above 20 and never below 14.
I got you. And Simon Zaire wants to know what's your soft plastic? What's your favorite soft plastic?
Zoom. Been fishing Zoom since I was a kid. I mean, I can remember going to Jerry's bait shop and he had me an account there. I'd get 100 bags of Zoom lizards. Yeah. It's always been my favorite plastic.
That's all we fished after Jim Bitter did his thing with the Zoom lizard.
I didn't even know there was another soft plastic company for years. I just thought Zoom. That was it.
Yeah.
You throw a soft plastic on your spinnerbait, a trailer, and it's going out of favor, but you still throw a soft plastic trailer.
Yeah, it's a Zoom split tail. I 3 packs will last you a lifetime. So that's the only trailer I throw. I don't throw nothing else on the spinnerbait.
Well, Zoom is decreasing your contract next year.
Yep.
I gotta give credit to Wesley. Wesley, I've been in the boat with. He's one of the first pros that let me in his boat when I was 19. But I've watched him fish. I drew him out in a Bassmaster Open 09. I'll never forget it. We smashed him that day. Wesley finished second that tournament. But yeah, what I'm going to say about Wesley is a lot of the old stuff, that kind of goes away and loses favor. Wesley doesn't Wesley still throws a tube a lot, like what he was saying earlier. Practice what he's preaching. He has confidence in it, never lost it. He always has it tied on. Same thing with the spinnerbait. I've never been with Wesley when he didn't have one tied on. So he sticks with things when they go out of favor.
I think sometimes that's our whole mentality as fishermen. Is we get too smart for our own good. It's like, this new bait comes out or this new technique or this, that, and other. And you're like, you get so involved in throwing it and learning it and trying to catch fish on it. And yeah, you catch some, but, there's only so many ways you can make a crawfish. There's only so many ways you can make a shad imitation. You know what I'm saying? So, it's been good to me, and that's what I always use.
Well, you've been great at it. We've talked about tonight what we're going to learn this year. Do you still think about that? Do you still hey, I'm going to try something new, or what is your New Year's resolution?
I don't have a New Year's resolution, but I learn something every time I go fishing. Just like Kimmel can attest to that. Like I caught him on a spinnerbait. I'm not at the Cumberland. Not gonna lie about it. It was not a bango blade, but I don't think it had anything to do with the spinnerbait itself. It was the blades. I've never seen this blade before, and so I tried something new at home. I won a tournament at the house on the Saturday before I went to Cumberland. So that's my whole thing is just learning new things, and I'll go into a store, and if I see something, I'll buy 2 of them just because, I'm going to try and see, just to see what the action is of it or whatever it is. And that's what I always try to learn something every time I go fishing. So I try to learn from my mistakes. Every year I look back on what could I have done different or what could I have done to improve on the previous year. So that's what I do. I don't make no New Year's resolutions. I just kind of look back on the year and try to learn from it.
Well, keep learning. That's key. Are you out hunting now? Are you at home? Where are you at?
No, I bought a truck in Indiana, and I had to come and pick it up. So, but it's at my best friend's house, Shad Skank. So, I'm fitting a little deer hunting in while we're up here. So, thought I'd knock 2 birds out with 1 stone.
Where's that at? Where you at?
Crawfordsville, Indiana.
Indiana.
Mm-hmm.
Jeremiah, he lives near Indiana.
Yeah.
He's from around them parts, Pete.
I actually lived in Crawfordsville for a few years when I was really, really young. And Wesley's best friend, Shad, was the first pro fisherman I ever met. And
what's his name again?
Shad Skank. He's a hammer, man. And
Chad Pipkins talks about him all the time.
Is that right?
Yeah.
And Wesley, both of them.
Shad retired early and at the top of his game. I think he had finished like 3rd in the TTBC and was running, I don't know how many top 10s in the Angler of the Year race in a row when he hung it up. But he introduced me to Wesley, and at an early age when I didn't know anything about professional fishing, Wesley could tell you stories about making fun of my hook set with a Cinco and all kinds of stuff.
I fixed to bring that up there, big guy.
Go right ahead.
Was he got a bad hook set? Wes?
You gonna jerk? You can't be just. You gonna have jerk, Alice. You can't be just letting that
thing. You just call JK Alice? That's cool.
That's what you say when somebody's being wimpy. You go, "Hey, Alice, you need to pull a little harder there next time."
Oh man.
Well, I got to ask you an important question. Being you're from East Tennessee, what is the difference between y'all and Ewans?
Well, all right. Here's the way I explain it. Y'all is you. Like right now, I'm talking you, Justin Kimmel, and Raz. That's y'all. Ewans would be everybody that's listening right now. Ewans. Now, does that explain it?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I'm still confused.
3 of you, that's y'all.
But I liked hearing the explanation, and I loved hanging out with you, down there. And congratulations. You won $100,000 in your first FLW tournament, and for winning your first BASSKY, we're going to send you a brand new hat.
Oh my gosh! Oh.
All right, Wes.
Yes.
I'll put that right there by that cardboard check.
Well, we appreciate you, and it's been great working with you. It was a great win. I love that you put the beat down on Swindle. It's hard to do, man. Yeah. He's hard to beat. You did it.
He is.
When did I put the beat down on Swindle?
You did.
He was second.
He was second to you.
Oh, okay. I didn't know what you're talking about there for a second.
Well, it was great. I appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Safe travels home, and we'll catch up with you real soon.
Thanks,
I
Wes.
appreciate it. Anytime. Have a good night.
Much,
the champ, Wesley Schrader. Thank
Yes.
you.
All right, Drew, you're not going anywhere. You're stuck with us, dude. You're hanging out.
Drew, what year are you in college this year, man?
I'm a freshman.
Oh, okay.
So first year in college.
So you said this upcoming year you're entering into your first full season, or?
Yeah, this is the second half of our first full season. So we fished 6 events this fall, and then I'll have 10 or 11 from March to August.
All right. And how many? How does that work, man? How many boats are in your club or on your team?
So our college, it's pretty supportive. They gave us a lot of support. We got a lot of sponsors, so a lot of fundraisers. So we got 5 teams. We travel every team to a set number of tournaments a year. So we travel all 5 teams to 5 or 6 events, and then we have 4 or 5 extra events for points, just to accumulate more school of the year points that we travel, the top of our AOY list to.
Very cool.
Can you in the fishing world, can you redshirt?
I don't know if you can. I mean, I was on here whenever Cole Sands and Connor DeMaro were on here, and he's fishing, what, 5 years?
Yeah, because in fishing, it's
Cole
you're
is?
technically
He's
considered
fishing
a club,
fifth year
right?
because he's getting his. Mhm.
Yeah, so there's not you don't have to follow NCAA
No.
rules. So you could, if you were in college for 6 years, you could fish for 6 years.
Yeah.
Really?
Pete?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
What do you think, Pete?
I should go back.
Justin, you feel like going to get a going to get a doctorate degree? Like,
Dude, I don't even have my undergrad degree, man. Let's go get it.
yeah, come on, let's go.
Let's go.
Let's create the real Bass University. Let's just start a college. We'll claim residence at Ike's house.
Right?
I got college rentals. We can.
Yeah.
I got a whole basement we can set up in.
We'll crash at Stockles. We'll go to school. We'll study, I don't know, spinnerbaits.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, man, get into the classic. Go.
That's good.
I'm not doing any homework.
All right, so we got a few things to give away here
Be like-
for
be like old
the
school.
folks that have been hanging out with us. We
Drew,
got
pick a number between 1 and 2.
Between
1.5.
1 and 2. 1.5.
You win. Drew, send your information in. You won a Gills Gear gift card for tonight?
Yeah, your $25 Gills gift card
for hanging out with us.
Drew, I don't know if you want to send me. You can send me your subscriber number on the message board or hit me on social with your address, one or the other.
Yeah, I can do it on social media because whenever I had the actual show on the background, it was creating a whole bunch of interference.
All right.
Whole bunch of ruckus.
And
Yeah.
do we have Ken Duke questions?
We got some Ken Duke questions. Pete, I'm gonna rattle off some stuff here. This is for another Gills Gear $25 gift card. This one should go pretty quick. Rich?
Best gear.
Yes. I'm going to hit this one right here. Today is the 76th birthday of one of America's greatest all-around freshwater anglers, TV host, and 3-time Bassmaster Classic qualifiers today. 76th birthday.
It's not me, guys, in case I'm not
That's
that.
easy.
Not
It
quite
is.
to 76 yet. You do
Got it.
not have it, De Palma. Text me if you have it.
I think
If you follow Bassmaster, I think you have it.
I think you're wrong.
Really?
Yes.
Oh,
You're
I'm
thinking,
wrong.
You're thinking of the other question I was going to ask.
Oh, I didn't hear the first question.
No, that was the first question. Drew, got any guests? Guests?
I have no clue.
It is critical.
What was the question again?
The question was, Drew, why were you not paying attention?
He got his gift card.
I was checking the time because I got a Zoom call in 5 minutes with the officers of my bass club about schedule.
Hey, we're more important. Stay with us.
hang in there.
I honestly thought you were going to say you had a call with Stray Cast and you were about to dump us.
Yeah,
No.
It's information.
No packing
is
away.
critical. You flip a jig.
Today's the 76th birthday of one of America's greatest all-around freshwater anglers, TV host, and a 3-time Bassmaster Classic qualifier.
And one of my favorites.
Yes.
My personal favorite.
And he's going to be on soon, coming soon.
Yep.
But Drew, we'll let you go, bro. I know you got more important things. Thanks for hanging out with us.
All right, thank you.
Thanks for being
Drew,
part
thank
of
you.
Bass U. Thank you, man.
Pete, I'm going to text you my answer.
All right.
All right,
I'm
you know it
waiting.
now.
I didn't know
it's,
that.
it's in the notes. We talk about.
It's not in my notes.
The damn right it is.
Yeah, it is.
Where's that?
You
don't
drew
look.
over it.
Yeah, you're drawing penises
No, I
on your
didn't.
notes over there.
Oh, we have a winner. Do I need first and last name or just last name?
Oh, no.
I think
you got
we
to
need
have
a full
first.
name. I think we
You
need
need
a
a
full name.
first and last name because
Full name.
there's several of these with with this last name.
While we're doing that, JK.
Oh, we got a winner.
And there it is.
Thomas R. Congratulations, Thomas R.
What's the answer?
Al Lindner. Critical.
Al Lindner.
Al Lindner.
Matt Robertson texted me the wrong answer. Matt, you were wrong. Matt was thinking what Greg was thinking.
That was my
Yeah.
answer.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. No, it wasn't.
Yeah, it was.
You were going with the other one.
Who was the other one?
The other guy that had a birthday today.
No,
that
it's not.
Bassmaster posted about.
Oh, no.
Okay. Top interview of 2020. So this wasn't necessarily a seminar. This was an interview at the Classic, JK.
I got to flip the page, I guess.
Yeah.
And that was Hunter Freeman.
That was a great interview.
Offshore bass fishing. Yep.
And
that was really good.
Yeah.
Yep.
They
Do you
watched.
think it was the hair that put him over the top?
No, it was. He's more than just a good head of hair. That really was actually good information. He does know how to catch them offshore.
Oh yeah. Dude, go follow him, Pete, on social. Like the guy's posting pictures of like 9 and 10 pounders, 12 pounders all the time coming out deep offshore.
Yeah.
Same lake, same fish.
Yep.
Probably, but they big.
He puts it back in the water. Says, "I'll see you next week."
He Phil Dance's lake.
Yep. The #1 podcast of 2020. That was the #1 Bass U Live show that we did. Was with Zach Burge, the Fall Transition, most watched, downloaded, and viewed.
Congratulations, Zach Burge.
That's right.
Nicely done.
Yep.
Nice little basket there.
Yeah. The #1 co-host. That wasn't a prize. The #1 video of all time. What is the #1 video of all time? The #1 Bass University video of all time, Greg?
All time?
Yeah.
See, I know the answer, but
yeah.
Is it on my notes?
Yeah. No.
Oh, hold on a second.
No, it's not. You can keep reading.
I see Ashley. I can't. Oh, I can't say that, can I?
Yeah. No.
I'll say this for this guys. Our #1 seminar of all time, the short clip on YouTube. That video is the #1 most viewed video for this instructor of anything he's ever been a part of online. You Google it, views. It's #1.
impressive. It's really awesome. It's not surprising, honestly, who this guy is and what this seminar is. Other than it's not me, which I know many of you were guessing me.
That was my guess.
Yeah, I'm sure. Thank you.
Is this a trivia question, or are we telling?
No, it's just The answer's Gerald Swindle. Always fish a jig. I would have thought it was his PMA piece.
Yeah, right.
But it was always fish a jig.
You know what his second highest? What Swindle's second highest is?
Drive a boat like you stole it.
Simple jig fish. It's just his older jig seminar.
His older jig seminar. Yeah.
Called simple jig fishing. Yeah.
Was the content the same? The jokes just different?
No, I mean it's
the jokes were different. The content was the same.
I don't know. I think there was some different.
No, it's really good stuff. I mean, a lot of people are unconfident fishing that bait, and he breaks it down really well. And of course, he does it in the way that only Gerald can do it. So it's pretty amazing. But by far, our #1.
All right. You guys ready for our grand prize trivia tonight? This is for $150 worth of TH Marine, $150,000 in TH Marine products, or $150. And here it is. Who was the first political candidate to be formally endorsed by Bass, and what year? Who was the first political candidate for president to be formally endorsed by Bass, and what year? Fantastic question.
It is a great question, and I'm, being part of the Ray Scott era. He was extremely political. He was extremely political.
Ken Duke?
No, Sam.
Sam, come on, that quick?
Yeah.
And the year?
He has the year and the person.
I don't have the year. Yeah.
And the year.
All right, keep going.
Yes.
But Ray Scott would dive in. He was all about politics. He was all about things that would help fishing, the environment. He dove right in with
You're
both
right.
feet.
He did.
He sure did.
From jump.
Yep.
Right in
and he connected with some extremely powerful people that, he was a showman. He was a politician. He was a great leader. He was a show, terrific part of the sport. It really inspired me. What he did with this sport is certainly what got me involved. A big part of what got me involved.
Yeah,
in it,
I remember him telling Chris Delfonso he needs to go back to Jersey and make pizzas.
He was offensive. There's no doubt.
It wasn't called offensive back then. It was a joke. And it was a good joke.
Oh, Ray Scott, boy.
Yeah.
There was no political correctness coming out of Ray's mouth. That was it was endearing, you know.
Yes,
I thought.
Yep.
You know.
No, I like it.
But,
yeah, I actually got this question right off the jump, and then I changed the date on it because I kind of overthought it a little bit. But
is that date right on the paper?
It's 100% right.
Okay.
Came from Ken Duke.
All right.
How dare you people on there?
No, not questioning that.
Okay.
Truth.
Came from the mind of Ken Duke. But yeah, it's a fantastic question. Other than that, we got a Facebook like and share coming up. Greg, what do you got?
I'm just
How's Kel doing, bro?
She's doing really
Tell me
good.
about it.
She's got
Hold on.
very flowing red hair.
Yep. Let me get some music set up.
She's probably watching right now.
Damn right.
Kel,
I don't
write him a message. Make him feel better.
Yeah.
Did you guys set a date, Greg?
Yes, December 10th of next year.
Ah, still got a year.
Oh.
Never give up.
All right.
Ooh, we got a winner this time. Thomas R. Thomas R. with George W. Bush, 1980.
That is right.
1980, George Bush.
W would have been a young lad.
Well, George. I don't know why I put
Senior.
W in there. It's George H.
Senior.
W.
Yeah.
Bush Senior,
It's-
1980.
It's George Senior. It was 1980. It was actually in the primaries. He was running against Reagan before he joined forces.
I remember that.
No, you don't.
That was -2.
You were born in 82? All right.
Oh, that's awesome. I was just getting done my second job, you know, after college. You know, what was I in 1980? I guess I was a freshman, 8th grade, 9th grade.
In what, college?
Back in high school.
Wow.
But no, that I was great. I appreciate. I just want to appreciate Ray again for being you know, powerful voice and driving this sport where it didn't exist before he came along.
Yeah.
You know, that's crazy.
Yes, thank you.
And now look at us. We have a podcast that hardly anybody listens to.
Shoot.
You know,
3 people.
Yeah, man. And happy birthday to Al Lindner. He's coming on soon.
Yeah.
Want to also say a happy
Yes.
birthday to David Fritz. Fritzy turns.
Right, what's his deal?
He turned 64 today. That's his deal.
But his big deal is he won the Bassmaster Classic, the Angler of the Year, the FLW Championship, and the FLW Angler of the Year.
Well, he won the FLW and the Bass AOI, and he won the Classic.
He never won the FLW Championship?
I don't know. You have to ask Ken Duke's brain. That's what I was able to squeeze out of it.
All right.
And he's 64
It's good
today.
squeeze.
David Fritz. Dude,
Yeah.
Fritz changed crankbait fishing, man. Like back in the day, what he did, I mean, that's like when we were absorbing it.
You got to go
we
back
ate
and
that shit
listen.
up.
You got to listen to the. We interview him every year at the Classic because he's a fascinating interview.
Yeah.
He's 64 years old. Every time I talk to him, it's as if the crankbait just came out. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's got that youthful enthusiasm about crankbait fishing, and it's gone on now for a long time, 50 years with him. But remember this, Brian? The crazy thing is that he, after preaching cranking with monofilament,
I know.
he told us at the Classic that he switched going from mono, not to fluoro, but to braid.
Straight braid.
Straight braid is now what he's cranking with.
Listen,
I have a
that
theory
happened
on
in
that.
2020. I'm willing to. Again,
That happened in like 1918. This was a few years ago.
1918.
This was either 18 or 19.
Yeah, like
I'm just
18.
saying, none of this is real. So
It's real.
Yeah.
It's real solid. Firsthand.
I'm telling you, I've got a theory on that. I think as you get a little older, and David's still out there competing, so I'm not hacking on his age. But I think as you get more aches and pains, you have to start, your sense of feel just might go away, or your ability to really lean into the fish and set the hook. I just think it's helping him set the hook better for him. So it's the braid's just working a lot better for him from a feel standpoint.
All right, David, Justin's cracking on your age. What do you have to add, GDP?
Tactical Bassin talks about it all the time, doing it.
Oh, really?
Yep. So check it out. Seriously, no, they're about it.
Based on what?
Big crankbaits.
Big
crank.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they're not that old.
They're not.
Well, it's interesting. You got to change your gear, your ride. I can't imagine you're catching them
But
that
what's the
well.
benefit?
But
Casting distance.
And?
That's mainly it.
Okay. All right. Well, I mean,
well,
that's logical.
Fritz addresses casting distance in that if you go too thin of a diameter, you deal with the complexities of backlashes. So he goes at length about the right type of braid, and I don't remember what he chooses, but it's got to be the right diameter. Like too thin is not good. So you got to get it. It's got to be thick enough to be able to discharge from the spool.
I want to say them guys talk about 20 to 30 pound. I think.
20 pounds?
Yeah.
They 20 to 30. I actually took that advice, GDP, to El Salto and was cranking with 30, the big crankbaits,
Yep.
But I suck at cranking, and the only ones I can catch them on are the DT series and the Fritz side, and he designed them both. So there you go,
Yeah,
David Fritz.
Well, enough said.
Hey, his crankbait won some tournaments. He got it in the hands of John Cox, who, like I said, I stayed with him. He caught 2. I had to give him crankbaits for Oneida. He didn't have any crankbaits in his possession.
Awesome.
And then, like months later, he wins. What was that on Toledo Bend? Where the heck did he win?
Yep.
It was one of those. He goes and wins on that crankbait, that flat side.
And his team partner goes and wins on it at Lay Lake in the last Open. And they were both, John and Keith took the trip with Brad Rutherford, our pal at Berkeley, and that's when they discovered the magic of the Fritz side.
It's so awesome.
I fished with Keith.
Yep.
Do you guys want to hear about
Hopefully.
that? And I outfished him?
Yeah, we know you outfished him,
Anybody
Brian.
want to hear about that again?
We'd like to hear it again. Sitting in the back. I love that story. Hopefully we have more of those stories. Hopefully ICAST happens this year, and I think it will. And we can have the ICAST Cup again and get BTC back out there trying to beat them on the cock board.
It was a good day.
No masks, all that.
Yeah, I had Keith and John in the front of the boat finding the fish. I had Hunter Shryock in the back netting my fish for me. It was a great day.
Yeah,
really good day.
It's like with Ben Milliken and Ike and on the Delaware, and you were in the back using a crawl, beating up on them too.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. All right. I think we gave it all away.
Facebook like and share. That's all we got left.
Like and share coming up.
Brian Nichols. Congratulations, Brian Nichols. You won the Facebook
Rapala.
like and share Rapala prize pack. That's some Rapala crankbaits, a Rod Warrior sleeve, a Rapala hat, and a Tackle Warehouse hat.
Yeah, and Greg DePalma's going to sign it all.
And you win Greg DePalma. We're going to box him up and send him to you.
Get your very own Greg DePalma. He likes pasta.
I do a lot. I had a pound tonight, actually. I did.
Let's feed him pasta and redheads.
It's the same color.
When the lights are off.
Red sauce.
All right.
Well, all that being said, happy Merry Christmas. I wish everybody a Happy New Year. I want to remind everybody, what a great New Year's resolution to learn more. Never stop learning. That's what we say. 33% off all of our annual subscriptions, as well as our gift cards is still hot. That's going on through tomorrow. So take advantage of it while you can. And thank Wesley Strader for being with us tonight, the champ, the #1 guy. Thanks to all of our great instructors. We really appreciate it. Thanks to our subscribers. It was great having them zoom in tonight. And,
yes, we had Drew. We had Dale Jr. We had Adam, Philly Fishing 215. Check him out on Instagram. It's a great follow. What's up, peoples? Adam's the best.
and some comments from EODS.
Jeremiah Eod.
Who is that
guy? He's there. He's all there.
Yeah.
Hey, thank you, Jeremiah. Thank you guys. I want to wish everybody here tonight a Happy New Year. I wish you guys all the best for 2021.
Hey, we'll be back next Tuesday. I believe that's the 5th. Is that the 5th? Yes. And we have
the 5th?
we should have a very special in-studio guest. Oliver Nye is coming to town to fish with Mike. And we will have Mike Iaconelli and Oliver Nye in studio next Tuesday talking swim baits, baby. What?
Sweet.
Or whatever
Swim
we
bait.
talk. I don't know. Swim baits, but
It'll be fun.
It's going to be
Thanks, thanks, everybody. You have a great night. Pete Kluzak for Bass University.
Hold on, Pete. Keep talking. I got to find something real quick.
Pete Kluzak for Bass University TV, everybody. And JK, and BTC, and GDP, and the Riz.
Dakota and Humminbird have joined forces to bring you the One Boat Network. Products that communicate and integrate to help you take full command of your boat. Born from our commitment to making the most advanced fishing gear even better by making it work together. The One Boat Network will help you find, get to, stay on, and catch more fish. When One Boat Network products talk to each other, they can navigate your boat automatically. They can give you a crystal clear view of what's below with no messy wires. And they can let you lower, raise, and change shallow water anchor modes from anywhere on the boat. But that's just the beginning. We're never done innovating, integrating, and making your boat simpler and easier to control. All so you can make every second on the water count.
Tackle Warehouse is proud to sponsor the FLW Pro Circuit and is the official tackle retailer of FLW, providing proven bass fishing gear as well as the newest and hottest tackle. Our friendly and knowledgeable customer service staff can help you every step of the way. And we offer free ground shipping on orders over $50. Tackle Warehouse, everything for the bass angler at the lowest prices. Guaranteed.
I have to be constantly on the lookout for new techniques to stay on the top of my game.
Giant.
Some have been more successful than others.
Giant.
The finesse fingernail.
Happens every time.
The chain gang.
Broke it off.
The crow's nest.
Never let go.
And don't even get me started on tackle management, especially trying to stop rust and corrosion. Peanut butter.
I could.
Motor oil.
Gotta keep the rust off all these baits.
WD-40.
Gotta keep the rust off.
Silica, toothpicks, Q-tips, the list goes on and on. I'm hard on tackle, I fish fast, I need my tackle organized and protected. I can't be worrying about losing baits to rust. And when it comes to tackle management, there's only one solution. Flambeau Tackle Storage Systems with Z-Rust technology. The original anti-rust tackle box. Uncompromised clarity. Renowned durability. The infused anti-rust option that is FDA safe and free of harmful chemicals. The organization options are endless, but there's only one. One box, one anti-corrosion technology, one family-owned American-made brand, Flambeau Z-Rust Tackle Solutions. Preserve, perform, repeat.